What up, everybody? I'm snacking early today. Don't mind me. What's going on, though? And I'm trying to look. We don't have like a Jesse. We don't have like an overlay, whatever, for just like one person, huh? Yeah. Well, you'll just see at IMK Diddy, everybody. What's good with y'all, though, man? Yeah, man, I'm solo dolo. This is KC and Friends today. Please believe that. Just me, Victor, just me. Ham is out. What's going on, y'all? You know what it is, man. Hey, I'm gonna get some boxing talk on the show. I'm gonna do it. Here we go, y'all. Yes, sir. What is going on, everybody? D-Lo and KC here for another beautiful Thursday afternoon, Thursday, August 18th. Me and Jesse were talking about it before the show. And we need to get to September. We need to get there. This is the dog days of August. All right. We need to get there ASAP. We're on our way. I hope everybody's doing great today, staying cool. It's supposed to be like the hottest day of the year yesterday, but thank you. We had some cloud cover, so it didn't get too bad. And today feels hotter already. I was outside earlier watering my little plants. I got these privacy trees that are growing in the backyard about an hour and 15 minutes ago. Blazing. Absolutely blazing. Sun just blazing on my back. So yeah, it's going to be hot out there. You guys stay cool, stay hydrated. If you got your pets, take care of them as well. Just me today. No James Ham, so you know what it is. It's Kenny Caraway.
Acknowledge me.
Yes, sir. You already know what it is. Acknowledge just me today. It's just me. Damien's still on vacation. James is out. James having a little mini procedure done. He should be back tomorrow. That's his word. Although, like when James told me earlier in the week, it's like, hey, I know we were gonna do all week, but I gotta, I'm gonna be out on Thursday. Got to get a little procedure done. Little minor surgery, I should be good. They're going to send me home that day. Should be good for Friday. And I was like, well, I'm going to miss you, first of all, as always. Second of all, okay, like, take care of yourself, bro. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't get in on Friday, it's okay. I want to see James Ham for many, many years to come. So don't go, bothering anything if you can't come back on Friday. It's good. But he said, no, I'll be good. James is tougher than a $2 steak. You know what it is. So he said he'll be good. He'll be back on Friday. So should see him tomorrow. But today is D-Lo and KC. That's the name of the show. You know what it is. However, this is basically KC and Friends today. It's KC and Friends today. I done made calls to any and everybody that are my guys and that helped me come up along the way. We talking to them all. Well, maybe not all of them, but we talking to a few of them. We got Coach Brian Katz. He's going to come on the show at around 12:20 or so. That's my guy, man. And we're just going to talk about the basketball. Obviously, we're talking about the Kings, but talking about basketball, talking about the mentality that this Kings team needs goes in. going into the season. We'll get in, into everything that is going on with the Kings and basketball in general with Coach Katz. Then at about 1:20 or so, I got my main man, Antonio Harvey. You guys hear him. Y'all hear Tony. You know what I mean? When he's asking the questions, he got the deep baritones. Hey, Coach Gentry, Antonio Harvey, public agents. And, you hear the baritones. He's going to make his debut on D-Lo and KC, man. This is a guy that I love talking to. I love having conversations with. And he's going to come on. We're going to have a good time, talk to him for a little bit. We also got our guy, Matty McQueen, Matt George, pulling up on us today. He's going to be in the building at around 2:00 as we talk Kings. I did a episode of Locked On Kings with Matt George earlier in the morning. So, hearing more Matt George, that's always a good thing for me. It's always a good thing. So we got that. And then in the final hour, we got everybody's favorite guy, my guy, Drake UU. He's going to come on. We haven't talked to Drake since draft day. So a lot of things have gone on since draft day. I think on draft day, he was like, the Kings should take Keegan Murray. I think so. Can't remember if he said Keegan or Jaden Ivey, but we'll ask him about it. Since then, a lot has gone on with the Kings, with Keegan Murray just lighting up the summer league. The Kings got made some moves in the offseason, getting Kevin Huerter, Malik Monk. We'll talk to him about what he thinks about this team going into the season, and just basketball stuff in general, man. KC and friends, man. That's exactly what it is. We're having a good time. Before we start any of that, though, we got to talk about something that isn't necessarily good times, as the NFL came out earlier this morning and announced that Deshaun Watson is officially being suspended for 11 games now. The initial suspension was 6 games that was handed out by a separate arbitrator. The NFL, they appealed that and got it to 11 games. And they also got a $5 million fine to go with that as well. So Deshaun Watson is going to be out for the first 11 games of the season. The suspension will begin on August 30th. And his first time that he can come back would be November 12th. He can resume practicing, and Watson can play again on December 4th, ironically, against the Houston Texans. So there's a couple things that I'm just a little unsure about with this whole thing with Deshaun Watson in the NFL. It was reported when all this was going down that the NFL was trying to get a year. And I was like, okay, they're trying to get a year. The arbitrator, the judge, ruled that he should get 6 games based on previous findings and previous suspensions by the NFL. Judge also said he looks guilty of everything that's going on. He absolutely violated, once again, when I say guilty, he violated the NFL's code of conduct, right? She's not really talking about the legal matters and the accusations and things of that nature. She's talking more specifically about him violating the NFL's code of conduct. She said he absolutely did that. But based on some of the previous suspensions by the league, she could only justify giving 6 games. NFL said, we're appealing that. Allegedly, like they talked about, they wanted a whole year. So that was what was reported widely. Roger Goodell came out, spoke very sternly about Deshaun Watson and him being a predator, possibly doing predatory things. And it seemed like since they're appealing and they were in control of everything, it would be a year. It was only a matter of time. Ends up being 11 games. I'm not exactly sure what that's all about, why he got 11 games. And to be honest with you, I was trying to think about it as we were getting ready for the show. And I was like, well, what would I have wanted it to be? And I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, it's not It's not like 11 games is like terrible. I would have been perfectly fine and completely understood if they went with the whole season. I get it. I don't know what I want. This whole thing just seems like it just seems nasty, like I continue to say. It seems like a mess. And I don't know if there's anything that could have been done that would have made me feel good about whatever ruling was handed down to Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson in recent days had started to change his tune a little bit, so to speak, when you talk about feeling remorseful, or it was really weird. Like some of the things that he would say, he would always use the word triggered, right? And if I offended anybody. Before, he was just saying I didn't do anything wrong or anything like that. But when it got closer to the NFL's decision or the NFL's appeal and what may come of that, you started to hear a little bit of a different tone from Deshaun Watson. And today, after the 11-game suspension was handed down, he had a statement that came out, and he said, quote, "I'm grateful that the disciplinary process has ended and extremely appreciative of the tremendous support I have received throughout my short time with the Browns organization. I apologize once again for any pain this situation has caused. I take accountability for the decisions that I made. My focus going forward is on working to become the best version of myself on and off the field and supporting my teammates however possible while I'm away from the team. I'm excited about about what the future holds for me in Cleveland," end quote. Man, I don't even know what that means. You know, I don't. Once again, I think it was Joy Taylor. I saw her make a tweet, and it was like, how are you remorseful and innocent at the same time? I don't understand it. Maybe you can. I'm not trying to be like a jerk about it, but I don't understand. I don't understand how you're remorseful and innocent at the same time. Now, a lot of people are saying like, well, maybe when he talks about being remorseful and responsible for his decisions, he's talking about, his teammates, the organization, his family, his girlfriend. Maybe he's talking about those situations and then how he's made life tough for them or put them in a bad situation. Maybe, I don't know, but I don't get it, man. I don't get it. And Dr. David in the chat, he says it perfectly. I mean, it's just an bad all the way around. Like his statement, the Brown statement, I saw the owner came out and was saying different things and maybe kind of implied about the situation that Robert Kraft was in before. And it's just bad all around. And I keep saying, like, I don't know exactly what I would have been looking for in a punishment for Deshaun Watson. If they would have gave him a year, I would have been okay. It's a bad look for the NFL. He violated the code of conduct policy. It should be a year. I don't know, but I'm not like saying like, yes, he has to get a year. And I'm not saying the fact that he got 11 games doesn't matter. And I'm mad about that because he should have got a year. I don't know how I feel about the punishment handed down by the NFL and what punishment I wanted. All I know is it's really awkward to watch Deshaun Watson. And it's even more awkward and cringeworthy to read his statements, to hear any quotes from him. And it's a nasty situation. Like I continue to say, it's a nasty situation. So 11-game suspension for Deshaun Watson. That's all done. It doesn't seem like they're going to appeal the NFLPA or anything like that. So it seems like it's done. And now you just wait for him to be on the field and see what happens to that. There's a number of other different things. Jimmy Garppolo, what does that mean for him? What does that mean for the Browns? Jacoby Brissett. That's yet to be seen, that they're looking to make a move now because they're going to have 11 games without Deshaun Watson instead of maybe the 6 they originally thought. But it's things are moving, and it's all going to play out probably in the next couple of weeks about what they do from the quarterback position if you're the Cleveland Browns. So that's what's going on with Deshaun Watson. I'm sure we're going to talk about it later in the day, but right now we're going to take a break. And when I come back, we got my main man, Coach Katz. He's going to come on the show. We're going to talk about, man, I always say basketball, but we talk about all things sports and life and everything related as well, man. It's just always a good conversation when talking with Coach Katz. So we got him when we come back. It's D-Lo and KC. KC riding solo on ESPN 1320. Yeah, man. Let's see. Um, KO. See, I'm not the biggest KO guy. He's cool. He's cool, but I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. KO be the one to do it. But I think I like when you talk about Cody. I think that would be pretty dope. Yeah, I think that'd be pretty dope. You guys don't mind me doing a little something. The crazy thing about that is we're still like maybe a whole year from that happening. Like, what would that be realistically? Probably SummerSlam. Well, if you got Rock versus Roman, no. he's gotta Roman got to come away with that. Roman got to come away with that. I'll put it to you like that. I'd be going for Roman. I know that much. I'd be going for Roman. Hey, you guys, you can hit me with some topic roulette questions if you like. There may be some times I can get to them. No, but he is maybe the biggest guilty pleasure in all of hip hop. Because he's a mess. He's an absolute mess, but damn, Super Gremlin is fire. Super Gremlin is a damn near a classic track. And then he got on Silent Hill. It's like, damn, guy's good. That guy is good. Ahead of YG? You heard YG's new joint? You heard his new joint? I ain't heard new Mozzie, man. I ain't heard. I'm slipping, to be honest with you. Oh man, what a turn! Yeah, the first two were dope. After that, I didn't feel the same way. Stephen Brown, I know you ain't talking about me. Settle down. Back here on D-Lo and KC, your man Kenny Caraway riding solo today. Riding solo. In my ear, Jesse was like, yo, we're about to come back. Then typically I would be like, oh, hold on 1 second, Ham, or whatever. There was nobody to say hold on to. I was like telling the chat, like, hold on. Like they could be talking over the radio. So yeah, it's just me. I'm literally Will Smith on the last episode today. I am. You know, in my past experience, all the shows were done by myself. So I'm kind of used to it. It's kind of the same thing. Like I wouldn't be looking into like a live chatty house audience. I didn't have a producer. So it was a little different, but I'm used to just talking to myself. Plus, on top of that, I'm an only child. So I spent my entire life pretty much just talking to myself. Still talking to myself to this day. It's healthy. It's healthy. You got brothers and sisters, Jesse? No. Okay. See, you wouldn't know about that single child, only child talking to yourself life, man. This is right. When you guys become adults, it's all love. Coming up, it was a big problem. So yeah, man. It's a little different, but it's okay. I've had some experience with it. Coming up at any moment right now, we got my main man, Coach Katz. He's gonna pull up on the show and talk to me as D-Lo and KC has turned into KC and friends today. So I'm bringing all my friends, well, some of my friends on, and we just gonna talk. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a good little conversation. This is like one of the last few weeks, before like business really starts to pick up. You know what I mean? Like NFL coming back. We got high school football coming back this week. We had Joe Davidson on yesterday talking about that. I think week 0 in college football is next weekend. I think it's next. Yeah, it's next weekend. Then week 1. So it's really about to pick up right now. And before I get into any of that, I need to address the chat right now, because if you're watching on YouTube, on Twitch, ESPN 1320 on both, the chat is in here calling me LA Kenny because I have my Marathon Crenshaw shirt on. Hey man, this is universal, man. This is universal. This ain't no supporting LA thing. Although, no, I ain't got no problem with Crenshaw. I ain't got no problem with that. Obviously, the late Nipsey Hussle, putting that, in the stratosphere of being a national brand, after the marathon clothing. But I know LA Kenny, man. Sacramento. I love Sacramento. How many do I have to say today, Jesse? Is it another 5? Yeah. they look, man. They always give me, a lot of grief because I got love for LA. I don't have no problem for LA. Once again, I don't love it more than Sacramento. This is the hometown, but I love LA. I got no problem with it. What you mean I love it too much? It's a nice place. Oh no, I hate the Lakers. See, that's where the media is just, you can never listen to those guys, man. I hate the Lakers. I ain't got no love for the Lakers. I hate the Lakers. I hate the Dodgers. I hate the Galaxy. I hate the Rams. Oh, there's really nothing in LA I do. I mean, I like UCLA is cool. USC's all right. That's about it. Everything else, I ain't got no love for none of the LA sports teams. Yeah, man. So yeah, Chatty House ain't no LA Kenny. It is Sacramento Kenny all day. 916 stand up. You know what it is, man. But yeah, we got Coach Katz coming on today. I mentioned we got Antonio Harvey coming on a little later on. Matt George is going to be joining me, and my main man Drake Yu is going to pull up as well. I also said, when Coach Katz and all my guests are here, not really an opportunity to talk, but one of the, I don't want to say it's a good thing, because it's not a good thing that Matt or Damien isn't here. I love talking to those guys, but one of the things that happens when they're not here is I am available to take calls today. So you can call 349-1320. When it's just moments like this, when it's just me all by myself, you can call, you can talk about whatever you want to. You can talk about, I would say you can talk about Deshaun Watson, but no, Deshaun's back in the box. We don't need to talk. That is done. We don't need to talk about Deshaun anymore. But you can talk about the Kings. You can talk about the Giants. You can talk about the 49ers. You can talk about WNBA playoffs. Talk about all that. But right now, I'm gonna talk to one of this guy was never a coach of mine, but I always this is my coach. This is my coach right here, man. My main man, former coach of Sacramento State men's basketball team, former coach of Delta College out in Stockton, the Northern California legend, Brian Katz. Coach
Hey,
Katz,
man. I'll take that as a compliment. You consider me to be your coach. I like that.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I should have went to Delta. I should have went there.
You're still the one that broke my heart and got away. I don't want to hear about it. You killed me. I'm gonna look at you, man. You'd have been Division I all-conference player. That's right, though.
The coach, I know those two stops. I know Delta and Sac State. Where else did you coach?
I was at Lassen Junior College for 4 years. I was at Center High School for 4 years, and then where I really cut my teeth was at Santa Clara University. I was there for 2 years. So that's pretty much my history. That's where I kind of really learned about college basketball and was able to, acquire some skills and move on.
Got you. I see you. Me and Coach, we talk often. Sometimes you listen to the show and he just like, I'm just texting you to be like, you're wrong on that, Casey. You're wrong. Or he'll say, you're right, or whatever. But he's like, you don't need to respond. I heard you, and this is what I think about it, right? And I love that. But the other day, I was talking about, I think the Kings just, finding a way to get people revved up for this season and interested in this season, when at the end of last season, I didn't think there was any way they could do that. I mean, last season was such a travesty. I thought there's no way people are going to be hyped. It's going to be super wait and see when it comes to next season. But, I've talked to a number of different people. Talked to Matt George, was talking to him earlier this morning. He was like, man, I can't wait for the season to start. I thought it was impossible for the Kings to get that kind of buzz with this city. But even Coach Katz hit me the other day saying, you know what? I'm interested in this team. I'm interested. Last year I was disinterested. I'm interested in this team. Coach, what's gone on over the last 3 months or so that it's kind of got your attention when it comes to these Sacramento Kings?
Well, number one thing is hiring of Mike Brown. I mean, you're talking about a proven winner, a guy who has succeeded in this league. And I won't say that he failed with the Lakers, but let's say things weren't great. And I think you need to succeed and also learn from your mistakes if he made a few. He's worked in two of the most unbelievable organizations. But here's the big thing why he is the perfect coach for them right now, because he is a defensive-minded coach. And I guarantee I've watched this guy from way back when he was an assistant with Indiana under Rick Carlisle, and he was in charge of the defense. Any team he's ever been associated with has really defended. The other thing I think the acquisitions they've made make sense for him, meaning they're spreading the court a little bit with Herter and Monk, guys who can shoot it. Even the guys that are fighting to make the bottom of the team or guys he has a previous relationship with. So it's not like the island of misfit toys. For example, Deladova and Quinn Cook, I know they're fighting for spots. They've played on championship teams and have been around championship locker rooms. So to me, all of this makes sense. But my thing is it starts and ends really with Mike Brown.
And one of the things, because I was talking about the Kings finally having a defensive-minded guy, right? And I think I was talking to Damian about this. And I said, well, when you hear the quotes from Luke Walton after games and in press conferences and media scrums, he would preach defense as well. I could sense his frustration when he would say, look, I'm just asking him to stay in front of somebody for 2 dribbles. After that, okay, I'll take that because I can't even get that right now before I implement a whole, dynamic defensive scheme. But I always felt that he was a defensive-minded head coach. Do you think that, Mike Brown is he's just different when it comes to defense, his defensive imprint on this team than Luke was, or was it just coach speak when Luke was saying that, or what do you think?
It's simple. Players know what you value. Whether you're an offensive or defensive coach is based on how you delineate playing time and what you substitute for. For example, if a guy, let's say a guy could be making some shots, but he's blowing defensive rotations. If you take him out, that sends a clear message to everybody what you value. And players are very smart. They know if you're just talking about something or it means something, and it's by your action. He will sub, my prediction. I don't want to act like I know Mike Brown. I've never met him, but I watch him closely.
Right.
He will sub, in my opinion, based on defense. Because he wants to come in here, in my opinion, and establish something. And look, it's a great situation because it's rock bottom. He can come in here right now and say, hey, guys, 15 of you in the room, 5 best defenders going to start. That's how it's going to go. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the conversation's similar to that. So when coaches talk about defense, I don't really listen. I watch how they delineate playing time and how they substitute.
Yeah. And then if you're preaching defense, and number one, you're letting a guy that's scoring give up just as much on the defensive end, and then you substitute a guy that may be working hard on defense for, a guy that's not playing any defense and just jacking them up, that's going to fall on deaf ears when you're like, guys, we got to play defense. You know what I mean? Like you're not putting in the best defenders. Like it can't be that serious to you if that's the way you're going about it.
Yeah, it's the same old thing where you're talking about defense, and a guy nails 3 shots in a row, but everybody can see he's not getting back on D or he's getting blown by his blown rotations. And now here is where the rubber meets the road. You got to be able to go, hey, come here. You're out. And then, of course, talk to the guy and say, hey, man, you're not defending. It's just the way it is. We got to go. The analogy or the conversation always needs to be this. I cannot allow you to continually penalize your teammates by not defending. I can't allow you to do that. It's just very simple. Everything needs, and believe me, I really believe that Mike Brown will operate that way. I'd be shocked. I listen to you guys on the show, and I think the bar sometimes is so low now. But you guys saying, if they could be in the top 25, I wouldn't be surprised if they were in the top 10. It would not surprise me. Defense. It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me.
Coach, I've said, and you, I'm sure you could back me up on this one because we come from the same school of thought here with how you play basketball. They were like 29th last year in defense. I'm going just by like points allowed. Yeah. And I say there's no reason why they should be any lower than 18th, right? And that could be what you're talking about as far as having a low bar, but 12 to 18, that's like average, right? That's middle of the pack. There's no reason why, if you bring in guys that give a damn about what happens on the court, and you combine that with a guy like Mike Brown, who's going to put you probably in a better situation. It sounds crazy to me, or to a lot of people, Coach, but you should just be able to walk on the floor and be 18th. That should be the bare minimum, I feel, when you got guys that just care about, all right, I care about winning. I care about, how I look out here at my playing time. I'm going to make sure I give maximum effort on defense if that's what coach is asking for.
I couldn't agree with you more. If you care and you follow bed and you care, you'll be 18. Now you got a guy who's really going to emphasize it. And you have some guys who are very capable. Look, these guys are very capable. Davion Mitchell, Fox, all those guys, they're very capable. Now it comes down to, are they going to understand that they're going to have to defend if they want to play? And it's that simple. And you could say, well, they're going to play Fox no matter what. Yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, it comes down to, look, like Fox has to make a decision, my opinion right now. Does he want to be a star or does he want to be a champion? Now, there's a lot of guys in the league that are stars that make a lot of money. And when it gets tough, they kind of go, I'm getting my 20 a game and I'm doing my job. Or are they unbelievably obsessed with, no, we are going to win. I'm not going to feel I need to win. And I'll give you 3 examples of 3 guys I thought that the game beat them down early and they figured out I can't do it on my own. And the first one is Jordan. The second one is Kobe. And the third one is LeBron. I think those guys, their competitive nature was, I'm going to do it. I can do it. I can do it. And then suddenly the game beats them down to their lowest denominator. And now they have to say, you know what? It's not working. I have to defend harder. I have to get invested in my teammates. And and as a result, lift the group up. And typically, it does start with the guy who's really going to defend, and also the guy who's going to get to the gym early and on off days, and also recruit others, hit you up, go and hit the rookies up and say, I'll give you a quick one. I know I'm rambling. I do know for sure there was a friend of mine who was on the staff, the Lakers, when LeBron was there. They held up practice 3 hours one day because LeBron was in there working with a rookie. It started off and he got obsessed with, they were working and shooting and he was working with a rookie. Well, what kind of message does that send to the rookie and to the rest of the team?
Yeah.
Was LeBron in here for 3 hours working with me? I don't even know if I'll make the team.
Right.
You know, that's the example. That's what's got to be. That's, instead of talk, it's investment in your teammates and in winning. And I think Fox is the key guy this year. He has to make the step to, all right, you know what? No, I'm going to be invested in my teammates and my coaches in every, and I'm not saying he didn't try or whatever. I'm just saying if he's a marquee player, a lot's expected.
Coach Brian Katz, former coach of Sac State and Delta College, and just an all-around coaching legend here in this region for sure. It's my guy right here. Let me ask you, in your opinion, what does that look like from Fox? So, like, does that look like stepping up his game offensively, defensively, his communication skills, you know, getting on guys? Because we talk all the time about, you know, being a leader and being a vocal leader and all these things. And it just doesn't seem like De'Aaron is that type of guy. That doesn't mean you can't be a leader, you know, but he's not the type to, you know, yell at somebody or be vocal about it. And I know you coach guys in your time that you were maybe the best player, but they were pretty quiet, you know. And how would you deal with them and tell them you can still lead by not just yelling at somebody? Like, there's other ways that you can lead.
Yeah, I think number one, by example, for sure. And here's a simple example. Okay, I looked at the stats yesterday. He shot last year 29% from three. Okay, scenario, ball's whipped around the infield. He's got an open shot on the right wing. Herder's in the corner who's 40%. If he passes that shot up and throws it to Herder, that right there is leadership. That's investment in your teammates. If he will pass up and go good to great and take not the best shot for him, the best shot for the team. And the other part too is, yes, defensively for sure. If, you know, look, if you're yelling at a guy to get back on defense and you're trailing the pack and you're behind him, I don't think that's working. Right. Now, if you're already back and you can see everybody and you're yelling, Rashawn, you got 22, you got 22. And he's going to listen because you're already back there. Yeah. So again, I just would say this, Kenny, I think it's more about action which equals investment in your teammate. I think everybody leads in a different way. I would never say to a guy, you got to be like Kobe and chew guys out. Maybe that's not your deal. Don't do it. But there's ways to do it. Number one, get to the gym more than anybody else. Hit the other, I'll call it recruit the other guys. Hey, let's get there. We had a bad loss last night. Let's get there, or let's get an hour shots up. Let's go. Hey, come on. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that. And I'd say all the time, when it comes to letting your actions speak, that may be one of the reasons why people don't do it as much. Because the second you open your mouth and you demand something of one of your teammates, now that puts a big old spotlight on you. And some people don't want that, coach. Some people don't. They want to fly under the radar. Like, they don't want to tell, even if it's the right thing and it was supposed to happen, they don't want to tell their shooting guard, hey, I need you to get in the stance. You got to be better on defense. Because the second you say that, they're gonna be like, all right, well, let me see what you're doing on defense.
Exactly.
What are you doing? And that's some people don't want that. Some people want to fly under the radar. I'm not saying that's De'Aaron Fox or anything like that. I'm just saying I believe that's a lot of the reason why sometimes people don't get as vocal or demand stuff out of their teammates. And to me, those are the losing teams. The winning teams and the leaders are the guys that say, I remember Michael Jordan. I'm not saying everybody got to be Michael Jordan, but in the documentary, The Last Dance, he said, I was hard on my teammates. I demanded a lot out of them, but I never asked them to do anything that I wasn't willing to do myself. So if I'm telling you, get back on defense or get in the stance, keep this guy in front of you, damn it, I'm expecting the same thing from myself. And that's the kind of leadership that I think is contagious on the team.
Yeah, I think to the point on the documentary, talked about even his rookie year, he said, I came in, I wasn't going to say anything. Who are those? I hadn't done anything. I just came with those guys so hard that by about midseason, they started looking at me for leadership type thing. So it's kind of like you got to do it first before you can say it. But I'll say the 3 guys, and I'll even say 4. I wrote this down. I think are the best today, bar none at that, of elevating the group, of setting the example, because they're so invested in their teammates and in winning. They're invested in winning. They're not saying they want to win. They're action invest. LeBron, Steph Curry, and Giannis, my opinion, it's not even close. Yeah. Now, the other guy, I will say, and a lot of guys are, whatever they want. I think Chris Paul. I really do. You can say what you want to say. Oh, they haven't won it, this, that. He is a guy that you can see is really invested. As an example, let's just say you and I are hooping, Kenny. If all I ever do is yell at you and tear your head off, well, you're not listening. Right. But guess what? If I get you the ball and you miss a shot and I say, Kenny, great job. I'm going to get you that shot again next time. You're going to knock it down. If I do that, you start getting invested in me. I get invested in you. It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It goes back and forth. Those guys, those 4 guys to me are tremendous at that. They're tremendous, and they elevate everyone. And you can see the relationships they have with the guy. You can see it on the court. Yeah. You can see it on the court.
Yeah. Coach Brian Katz, kind enough to give me a bunch of time here on D-Lo and KC today. Just talk about basketball, the psychology of the game and being a leader and things of that nature. Before I get you out of here, Coach, this team in general, do you think that they have enough on paper, because we don't know anything until we actually see it on the court, but on paper, do you think they have enough to break this 16-year playoff drought? Do they have the horses? Do they have the leadership? Do they have the coaching to finally, in a very tough West? The West is loaded. They got some good teams. I say this all the time. The NBA is loaded. I mean, the NBA is stacked. There's so many great players in the league today. There's no pushover teams. I don't care who you are. But do this Kings team, do they finally have enough to end this drought?
I believe the reason that they have, I think that they'll push to be 500, and I think they can make the playoffs. I think the reason I've said it again, it starts with Mike Brown and what he's going to emphasize and what he's going to demand. I like the pieces make sense, but I really believe the last piece of the puzzle is De'Aaron Fox, and he's got to invest and lead in his own way, whatever that is. If everyone is invested in him and he's invested in that, I'm telling you, I believe this team will take off, because they're not that far off. People think they are. Yeah. I don't think they are, because last year, I mean, look, they just didn't defend anybody. Now, they got some guys on there I think are high character guys and winners. For example, Harrison Barnes, a winner. I don't care. I hear people criticize. I was looking at the stats yesterday. I'd have thought he's 105 the way everybody talks about him, like he's an old man. He's only 30.
Right.
He's 30.
Right.
He's a winning, I'm going to use the term, he's a winning player. Davion Mitchell is a winning player. Sabonis is a winning player. They have some guys that are winning, not just talented, but winning players. I would just say this too, the last thing, and I know I don't want to ramble on too long. I just hope that the Kings will stay with Mike Brown and just fly it out there. Look, he's our guy. Don't come to us with problems and stuff, because we're all in on him one way or the other. And it isn't going to matter, because we are all in. I believe if they do, I believe they'll in the playoffs sooner or later. And I do believe down the road, and I'm not that far as you think, they'll be contending for championships. I'm a big believer in Mike Brown, really.
Let's go, Coach Katz, man. Hey, Coach, you would be proud of me. I coached the 9 and 10-year-olds, and the other day in our game, I told them before the game, before we went out, I said, look, all I need you to do, because we work on defense for like an hour and 15 minutes every practice. All I need you to do is to sprint to your spot and communicate. Whatever happens after they make the shot, if they fool you or whatever the case may be and you're out of position, that's fine. But if you can't sprint and communicate, you're coming off. The starters thought I was playing. The starters thought I was playing. First 2 defensive possessions, I didn't hear nothing. Yanked them all out. That's what we do. No, I'm setting the groundwork right now. You can't play if you can't talk and defend. And I was on my Coach Katz stuff. I was like, Coach Katz.
That's exactly what we just talked about. See, your players know what you value, right?
Yeah.
They're going to run a lot harder to that spot to communicate. Yeah. They may not even know what they're saying, but their mouth's going to be moving.
That's it. That's all it is, man. Coach, it's always good catching up with you, man. And we got to do this more during the season, man. You got to come on here and just tell us. See the Kings going.
I just want to know, why are you repping the Royals today? What's up with that?
It's just a style. It's just a style. I got the upside down KC. It's just the only hat I'll never wear is the Dodgers hat. That's all it is.
Okay.
I'll wear every other hat for fashion. Dodgers hat, I'll never wear a Dodgers hat. Not my job.
Hey, say hi to your mom, and thanks again for having me on. I appreciate it.
Will do, Coach. I appreciate you, man. We're going to come back. I got the ACR Solar and Roofing performance of the night. Ceiling is the roof performance of the night. When we come back, we got to talk a little bit about the Gigantes. As they finally lost, man. We'll get into all that. It's D'Lo and KC right here on ESPN 1320. Man, we're off, Coach. Great. No, I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Thank you.
That was fun. That was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it during the season too. I mean that.
You're a defensive coach.
Oh,
see?
Big defense. Big defensive coach.
Hey, I got to tell you a real quick one. I'll let you go. So you always say how you're the one that got away. You know what I just realized today? I forgot this. I'm looking at the rosters. I had Robert Covington out here on a visit at Sac State early his senior year. No one offered him but us.
What?
He come all the way from Chicago.
Is that from Chicago?
Yeah, he only had one offer. Is later in the year, way late, he took Tennessee State. Oh, that's the guy that brought. Oh, can you imagine if I had Robert Covington?
And the way that you coach, Robert Covington would have been. It would have been like an all defensive team, easy.
And no one was recruiting him. No one.
That's crazy.
We're the only one he visited.
That's a trip. I'll take second. I'll take second in the one that got away list.
Hey, I don't know him like I know you. He's second, man. All right, Kenny.
All right, Coach. You take care, man.
Thank you.
All right. That is wild. That's a trip. Mark. I was a great teammate. I was a great team. And I don't want to just like say I'm a leader, but I'm like a galvanizer. I'm like, come on, guys, it's okay. Let's get it together. I'm not the you guys freaking suck. Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I was always talking. I was always talking. I talked today in West Sac. Yeah, I'm always talking. Although, like, I shouldn't say always talking. Like, I'm pretty quiet unless somebody says something that I just don't like. Then you can't shut me up. Jesse Beverly. Stephen Brown, this guy. One time in my life, I did get subbed for not playing defense. Absolutely. But that's just the way you do it. I should have been subbed. Like that's you got to defend. You have to. And I was a point guard, shooting guard. Like, you got to defend on the perimeter. It's no excuse for it. Like, you at least got to give effort and talk. What game did I ref? Oh, yeah, you was out at Go to One Center. I wasn't reffing. I was trying to get through the hour. That's what Joe Davidson was talking about. Like, these guys are like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this. Oh, yeah, that's where I wanted to go. Turn it down. Let's see. That's right. I forgot my boys are playing. Yeah, my boys now. They went 5 or 6. Now they're my boys. They're always my boys. Y'all get your topics in, get your questions in. I'll answer them. Trust me, I will today. I promise. Nancy said we need it, and he ain't lying. He ain't lying. Yeah, it's dead. Yes, indeed. Back here on D-Lo and KC. It's just Kenny Caraway today. Man, that was a cool conversation with Coach Katz, man. I love talking to him. I love the way he views the game, views things like leadership, all that, man. It's always a good time to talk to him. And it's always a good time to talk about the Ceiling is the Roof performance of the night, brought to you by ACR Solar and Roofing. Call 916-481-7200 to set your appointment. An old roof can cause high energy bills. See if it's time for a new one or find out if solar is the right option for you. And I mean, it was almost time to go 3 times in a row with the San Francisco Giants, but we didn't do that. You know, we went a different route, and I didn't even play my little intro. Here we go. Ceiling is the roof.
The ceiling is the roof. Let's make it happen. Let's keep moving forward.
Yeah, Ceiling is the Roof performance of the night, brought to you by ACR Solar and Roofing, is one Chelsea Gray.
As well, but Chelsea Gray trying to take control here. And there she is. 9-1 run for Las Vegas.
Chelsea Gray starting to heat up. You can't go under that on-ball screen. She sees it. Nothing but the bottom of the net.
I thought about going, as the WNBA playoffs got kicked off last night with 2 games. I thought about going with the other game where Sabrina Ionescu once again did her thing, 22 points. I think she had 7 rebounds, 7 assists or something like that. In the shocking win of the defending champions, Chicago Sky. I thought about going with Sabrina, but I was watching that game with Vegas and the Phoenix Mercury. And first of all, you know, prayers up to the Phoenix Mercury. I mean, they're decimated by injuries. Skylar Diggins-Smith isn't there. Diana Taurasi isn't there. And then during the game, they lost one of their guards. I forgot exactly who it was, but she tore her Achilles. And I saw it when it happened. And she goes down and she's like on her back and she grabs at the back. And you can see there's like a level of shock at first. She's like, oh, what is that? And then she has pain. I said, oh my gosh, she just tore her Achilles. And to see that in the middle of the game was tough. But Phoenix was hanging around. Phoenix had made it a 1-point game at one point. And then Chelsea Gray. Oh, man, I love watching her play. I think she went on her own personal 7-0 run to get the lead back up to 9 late in that third quarter. And the Aces never really looked back after that. So I'm giving her the Ceiling is the Roof performance of the night. She went for 17 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds on the night, 6 and 9 from the field. So she gets that Ceiling is the Roof performance of the night, brought to you by ACR Solar and Roofing. Call 916-481-7200 to set your appointment. Once again, an old roof can cause high energy bills. Don't nobody want that. Don't nobody want that at all. See if it's time for a new one or find out if solar is the right option for you. So I talked to you guys earlier about it's just me in here today. I'm in here dolo. And the good thing about that is the phone lines are open. When I'm not talking to any of my guests, the phone lines are open. And let's go to the phone lines right now. I got my guy Ramsey, who may have an issue with the Ceiling is the Roof performance of the night, as he has somebody else in here. What's going on, Ramsey?
Not too much. No issue with Chelsea Gray from Stockton, because I mean she propelled Las Vegas to the win. No disrespect to Phoenix, but they shouldn't be on the court with Las Vegas at the moment. But
yeah, that game was a little closer. It was a little closer than it should have been, I thought, for most of the night.
Yeah, but I mean, again, Sabrina in New York stole game 1 in Chicago.
Yeah. That was big time. Did you see that sorry to cut you off, but did you see that stat where I think in the final 3 minutes they Liberty outscored them like, I don't know, 11-0. They made all their shots. 13.
Yeah, it was a 13-0 run to end the game.
Yeah. The Sky missed. I think they were 0 of 8 from the field. The Liberty were 5 of 5 from the field. It was crazy to see that game close out that way.
That and Chicago couldn't rely on the 3. I mean, they couldn't get Allie Quigley.
Yeah.
She couldn't get hot.
Yeah.
And if she's not hot, there's a problem.
Ramsey, let me ask you real quick. Well, we got extended time. See, that's the other good thing about calling when I'm by myself. You call in, you'll get some extended time here. I'll tell you that because I ain't got nobody else to talk to. So, I'm down to talk to anybody. You think it's the Aces championship to lose here? Are they the favorites? I mean, they won that game last night, and Asia Wilson didn't even show up really.
Yeah, if Chicago loses to New York, I don't think there's any team that could beat Las Vegas.
What do you think about the Mystics? Because I like the Mystics. That's kind of my team right there. What you think about them?
I don't think they can beat Las Vegas. Las Vegas has too many weapons.
I agree.
Vegas has too, because if it's not Chelsea Gray, if you don't get Chelsea Gray, you can get Kelsey, or you can get Asia, and Las Vegas at the moment is playing without one of their basically their sixth man, De'Erica Hamby. I think she's hurt at the moment. She didn't play last night.
Yeah, and then don't sleep on somebody like Jackie Young coming in, who was balling in that first half. And they got too many weapons, man.
Exactly. Las Vegas has too many weapons. I think if Chicago doesn't get out, I don't see anybody beating Las Vegas.
I hear you. Ramsey, appreciate it. Always good to talk to you, big dog. Once again, that call-in number if you want to talk, 916-349-1320. As we trucking along here on this Thursday. We having a good old time, man. We getting it in. Another thing that I want to remind you guys before I get into the 10th inning is Corners of the Culture, the podcast on the culture, but we talk a lot of hip hop and everything with myself and Damien. New episode dropped today. It's an episode talking about the impact of Nipsey Hussle on the industry, on the culture, everything. Damien says this is like, we had our first episode last week talking about the birth of hip hop, and it was really good. Damien's like, this is the one that takes us to another level. I was listening to it a little bit this morning, and it's some good stuff. I don't mean to Barry Horowitz, pat myself on the back, or anything like that. But man, this is a good episode right here. I think it's something you highly enjoy. So you can check that out on Apple, wherever you find your podcasts, on Apple, on the Odyssey app, first and foremost. You can check for it there. Anywhere you get your podcast, you can check out Corners of the Culture. And this week's episode is on the impact of Nipsey Hussle. I thought we were going to have a 10th inning that doubled as the ceiling is the roof performance of the night, but it was not to be. As the Giants took an L on last night against the Arizona Diamondbacks, 3-2, and it was a tough one. It was a tough loss, man, because they were up 2-1 for most of the game. Carlos Rondon was phenomenal. 11 Ks on the night. I think he only gave up 2 hits. Like he was locked in. And seeing him pitch like that, seeing him perform like that, that's the thing where people are like, just get in. Because if you can get in, you got Logan Webb who's going today, but you got him and you got Rondon, who in a big time setting, they can put up performances like they did last night. It's like, man, just get in. You know what I mean? And he was phenomenal. Like I said, 6 innings, 2 hit ball, 1 earned run, 11 strikeouts. He had a setup. And the flip side to it is the reason why I don't know if the Giants can do it, because the bullpen gives it up. And the bullpen had some good moments last night. It's not like they completely imploded. It was really just that 8th inning where they gave up 2 runs to lose the lead and essentially lose the game is what cost them. But yeah, I just don't think they have the arms in the bullpen. I just don't think they'll have it. And then you had a couple of situations last night as well. Yaz, bless his heart. The game was still 2-1 Giants, but you can't get picked off on second base. I think it was the 7th inning. They had runners on first and second. Wilmer Flores was up with 1 out, and Yaz gets picked off at second. Wilmer ends up striking out, inning over. That can't happen. That can't happen. And this is the thing with this particular Giants team, is the margin for error is the other thing that you have to look at. The margin of error is so thin with this team because they don't have any big boppers in the lineup. They don't have an elite bullpen. They don't have an elite starting pitching staff. They really got 2 starting pitchers and then some guys that are, kind of iffy. But you can't have a situation where you're getting picked off on second base with an opportunity to add to the lead. So Tough loss last night. One of the good things, though, is Lamont Wade Jr. hit a home run. It seems like he's starting to heat up a little bit. He's starting to feel good. He's had an injury-plagued season. So if you can get Lamont Wade Jr. in there and get him feeling good about who he is and him being late-night Lamont like we had him last year, maybe that could propel you in September. But it's still one of those things where you just got to take care of business. They still in a situation where if they win today, you win 3 or 4 from the Diamondbacks. You win 6 or 7 in this entire homestand. And you may be 4.5, maybe even still 5. And actually, I don't think the Padres play today. So if you win today, you'll be 5 games back going into, I think they play an 8-game road trip coming up where they play Colorado for 3. They play 2 against Detroit and then 3 against the Twins. So if you're 5 games back going into that road trip, and you this is part of that 3 weeks that I was talking about, you may have an opportunity to make a dent, man, to make a dent and put a run together. So Giants lost last night, but they still have an opportunity to do what they needed to do for this entire homestand. And then, like I said from the jump, like a week and a half ago, you got this homestand, you got to win 5 or 7 at least. They've already secured that. Now it's time to be greedy. Try and get one more and make it 6 or 7. So that's what's going on with the Giants. You're listening to ESPN 1320 KIFM West Sacramento, KRXQ HD2 Sacramento, an Odyssey station and driven by Lasher's Elk Grove Dodge. Just me, Kenny Caraway, by myself. You know, you can hear me on the Odyssey app, stream us on the Odyssey app. You can hear us in your radios. You can check us out on YouTube. You can check us out on Twitch, and make sure you download the podcast as well. Something that I was looking at a little bit, and, you know, I got my ears to the street with what's going on with the San Francisco 49ers, and they're out in Minnesota right now for these joint practices. And you're getting, you know, general play from Trey Lance. You know, the guys, they keep the stats of what these guys do in these practices and these scrimmages. He's been fine. I think he was like 14-20 yesterday. Today he was like 11-19 with an interception that was a tip pass by Deebo Samuel. So it's whatever. You're keeping stats for that. But the one thing that is going on that I think people don't, I don't want to say they don't remember, because he gets love, but I just think they kind of, it's whatever, is we're hearing about what Nick Bosa, number 97, was doing to that Vikings offensive line. Absolutely unguardable. Absolutely unblockable. And you got a guy in Bosa who, I mean, he's about to enter his prime. These guys have talked about it a number of different times where last year, Nick Bosa was coming off of the ACL injury. So he was working to get back last year. He was working to get the knee strong again and to get healthy and things of that nature. Well, now, this past season, he had a healthy offseason. And to be honest with you, because I want to say before his rookie year, he hurt his arm at Ohio State or something like that. So, because he hurt his arm and then he shut it down for the rest of the season. I don't think it was like a season-ending arm injury or something like that. He hurts. It might have been his shoulder. I think it was his shoulder. But he hurt his shoulder. It wasn't a season-ending injury, but it was going to keep him out for some time. And I remember he just shut it down. He said, look, I'm only going to be here, you know, for these last few games anyway. I'm an NFL player. I'm getting ready to go to the NFL. I'm going to just shut it down now. It was like 2 games into the season. But even then, at some point, he was kind of rehabbing something. He was trying to get back from an injury. So he did that coming into his rookie year. Last year, I guess coming into his rookie year, he was 100% healthy, even though he had an ankle. He had some ankles in the first year, but he was healthy. And he comes into the season, and he was causing havoc in the game that he played against Arizona to start the season. And then he got hurt in the second game, early in the second game against the Jets. This is one of the first times that we would have seen Nick Bosa coming in just off of, you know, a regular offseason, just trying to get better, just trying to improve and get stronger with technique and quickness and things of that nature, be able to work on his skills in the offseason as opposed to working on getting healthy. And seeing some of the clips that I've seen from Minnesota, it reminded me of that because they had no chance against Nick Bosa. And like I said, I feel like people forget who he is and what he is out there. He is one of the best defensive linemen in the game today. And when I say best, I'm talking about short list, I'd say top three. I'm not calling him this. I'm not being disrespectful to future Hall of Famer when I say this, but he has an Aaron Donald-like unblockability to him. I mean, he's been doing it since the day he stepped on the field in the NFL. And I don't think people remember that. I really don't. And I'll be honest with you, I don't always remember that because he is pretty low key. You don't really hear from him. He doesn't do much. They just kind of let, Bosa do Bosa during practices and things of that nature. And then you hear quotes from different guys during training camp and they're like, yo, I did such and such. I remember Jimmy Ward was talking about Brandon Ayuk. And he was like, yeah, Brandon Ayuk, he's been phenomenal in this training camp. This guy's been unguardable. He's winning all his one-on-ones. Brandon Ayuk has been phenomenal. He's had the best camp on the team, to be honest. He goes, well, actually, I take that back. Bosa, nobody's been better than Bosa. But Brandon Ayuk has been really, really good. Like, that's how they speak about it, right? Like, we forget, like, because we don't even mention it. Like, he's dominant every time he steps on the football field. And having a healthy Bosa out there is just going to add to what this team is going to be able to do with this defensive line. That clearly is their strength. That clearly is where their bread is buttered. But when you have Bosa there, that opens so many things up for an Eric Armstead. When he's healthy and able to play, that opens so many things up for a Javon Kinlaw. That's going to open so many things up for a Drake Jackson, somebody that's able to do that, face one-on-ones as a rookie because everybody is so concerned with Nick because you can't block him coming off the edge. So he is an absolute game changer. And I hear Loki talk about, he says in the chat, I don't trust training camp talk. All teams talk like that. They don't talk about like they talk about with Bosa. Plus with Bosa, we've seen it every step of the way. Like we've seen it when he's healthy and he can be on the field. They can't guard the dude. They can't block him. Like we've seen it. Nothing seems to be changing. I've just seen the videos with the Vikings. Like it was such easy work. And I don't know if those were the second string offensive linemen or starters or what was going on with that. I got to read into that situation, but it was easy work. It was easy work. There was nothing that could be done. So I just saw a video of him today and it reminded me of that. It reminded me of, what this team could possibly be with Nick Bosa. He absolutely is a game changer. Another thing that happened in the training camp practices, the joint practices with the 49ers and the Vikings today is saw a video of Trey Sermon. They said he got hurt and was walking off the field gingerly. Looked like a foot or an ankle situation. And that would suck. That would suck. We don't want to see Trey Sermon again with an injury-plagued season. I hope it's nothing serious. But this is a guy who struggled from the start last year. And the 49ers could have used him all throughout the year. He started the season inactive, a healthy scratch in week 1. Raheem Mostert goes down 2 plays into the season. Elijah Mitchell ends up getting a lot of the carries. But Trey Sermon had an opportunity to be part of this team, but he got a concussion, I think, in one of the early in that Philadelphia game. He played somewhat well in that 3rd game of the season against Green Bay. And then I remember he was finding time getting snaps, but then he had a real bad ankle injury that essentially ended his season. And you thought, okay, they're hearing different stories about how he's ready to go this year, how he's looked better, looked more decisive and things of that nature. And you're like, okay, maybe, he needed that rookie year to start feeling good about himself. Let's see if he can get going. And he was having a good camp. He was having, a good job, doing a good job, at the start of camp. But then he gets in the first preseason game It looks worse than he did last year. Last year, numbers actually say he wasn't as bad as it looked sometimes. He had some pretty effective moments out there. But in the preseason game, 6 carries, 11 yards, that's not what we expected to see. And then you're dealing with this injury here now that they're talking about happening today in the practice against the Vikings. And I just hope that he can get it going, man. I hope that he gets an opportunity to show what he has, because I do think there's something there. I think there are some things that he learned in that first season under Kyle Shanahan about being more decisive and, understanding how to run in that scheme with Kyle Shanahan. And I was anxious to see him. And now with this happening, this foot ankle injury, I hope it's nothing serious. Like, I hope it's just tweaked it a little bit and maybe he could play on Saturday. But these are big moments for him, especially after they drafted a running back, Davis Price, in the 3rd round. This is big. This is a big opportunity for him to get every snap that he can, because you got Elijah Mitchell, you got Davis Price, you got Jermichael Hasties, and Kyle, we've already seen a number of different times. He can take almost anybody. He can take your grandmother, put her in the backfield, and she may run for 150 yards that day. So if you're not able to stay healthy, if you're not able to stay on the field, you could easily lose your spot to somebody else who Kyle and the rest of the offensive staff could look at it as, we'll take care of that. That's nothing. That's nothing. If you're not able to play, I'll find somebody who can. So I was thinking about that when I saw him, the reports of him walking off the field and walking gingerly today. And I was just like, oh, man, I don't want to see that for that guy, man. I hope he gets an opportunity. Then another thing that was buzzing around 49ers land today is with the suspension being levied out from the NFL for Deshaun Watson of 11 games. A lot of people were wondering, does that mean the Browns may be interested in Jimmy Garppolo? And there was a quote I'm looking for right now. Where is it at? I saw it not too long ago. But there was a quote when I think it was the general manager was asked about if they were looking for a replacement, or were they looking, at the quarterback market for somebody. There it is. Browns GM Andrew Berry asked if Jacoby Brissett will be his starting quarterback for the first 11 games. And he simply answered, "We have a lot of confidence in Jacoby." And that was it. Didn't close the door on adding at the position. That was Albert Breer's tweet. And he didn't say no. He didn't say, yes, he's definitely going to be the guy. We have a lot of confidence in him, which means they don't have all the confidence in the world in Jacoby Brissett. So it could be a situation where the Browns could be eyeing Garppolo. I personally, if I was the Browns or any other team, I wouldn't be trading for Jimmy Garppolo, because the 49ers, they're not going to have Jimmy Garppolo on the roster on opening day. They will release him. So essentially, what's the point in trading for him and absorbing that $25 million contract when he's just going to be released in a couple of weeks anyway? Now, part of it is you don't get into a bidding war, dare I say, with the Seahawks or anybody else or the Jets for Jimmy Garppolo. If you trade for him, you got him. You don't have to worry about all that. But that's a hefty price to pay for a guy in Jimmy Garppolo that you're not sure is even going to fit what you're trying to do. So I think the Browns and everybody else just kind of wait to see when Jimmy Garppolo is going to be released. And then, it's going to be a recruiting process. It's going to be up to these teams to sell themselves on the situation that they have in store for Jimmy Garppolo. And they're going to have to see if, it works out for Jimmy and what price tag works for him. So I think the Browns are definitely interested in Jimmy, but I don't think that they'll be trading for him. I think they'll wait for the Niners to release him. So that's what's going on in Ninerland. And just be healthy. That's all I'm asking. Be healthy. That's that. We're going to take another break. When I come back, my man, my mentor, my guy, Antonio Harvey is coming in, and we're going to talk about the Kings as well. His time with the Kings, he's been there through damn near everything. So we'll talk about that, and we'll get just his thoughts on everything that's going on in the NBA in general, man. It's Kenny Caraway alone right here on D-Lo and KC on ESPN 1320. Yeah. sipping a Mai Tai somewhere, having a Sacramento splash somewhere. I think the Seahawks are still in play. Yeah, that they cut him for sure. Like I said, I don't think anybody's trading for him, but I think the Seahawks are in play. Yeah. I don't think you guys believe me when I say it, but topic roulette questions. I'll answer one before Antonio gets in. Hey, Leezy, I wish you the best with the Eagles. You're talking about Jalen Hurts about to ball out. I wish you the best, man. I mean, I want to see Jalen Hurts do his thing. I don't have no problem with him. Not sold, but, we'll see. We'll see. Come on, man. Everybody been talking about all this blue I got on today. I just got the shirt and the hat. I got some, I got some black shorts on. Some black Jordan shorts. Coach JT, what's up, man? What's going on to the Brody? How well do I know San Francisco? Not that well. Like, I wouldn't know how to get to certain neighborhoods. Nothing like that. I mean, it is. Well. Yeah. I'd stay 2 days in San Francisco. Yeah. The thing about it is, if I lived in Georgia, would I say, yo, I'm taking a trip for a week to San Francisco? I don't think so. You'd say that about New York. You'd say that about LA. You'd say that about Sacramento. Yeah, man, I don't know if you'd say that about San Francisco. You'd say about Sac, I don't know about San Francisco. Shout out to JD Davis with the big home run yesterday. Should have been the game winner. Elk Grove, stand up. He smashed that ball. Ramsey says it's easy to drive in Sacramento or in San Francisco. Like it is. Those hills are crazy, though. They never cease to amaze me. The hills in San Francisco it really is nuts. Stop it. Delta Shores, stand up. The Ridge is coming for Delta Shores, man. The Ridge is they loading up. The Ridge got Buffalo Wild Wings, Olive Garden, Costco. In-N-Out is coming. Oh. Once again, we're coming back from break, and I'm sitting up here like, hold on. We're coming back. To who? To who, Kenny? You're by yourself. Who are you telling that you're coming back for? But this is D-Lo and KC. Kenny Caraway here by my lonesome today, and it's all good though. It's all good because, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not by myself for 4 hours. It is KC and friends today. And one of my longtime friends, my mentor, the guy that basically got me in this game, all right, in the building right now, my main man, he does so much. He's everywhere. You ain't never there. He does so much. I don't know what to say, but call him a local journalist that has been covering the Kings for a long time. I'm not even going to put no number on it, but just for a long time. My main man. You hear the voice every time, every press conference. You hear the voice. You know what it is. Maybe you hadn't seen the picture, the visual of his face, but now you can put the face with the voice. My main man, Antonio Harvey. Antonio, what's up, man? I think he's muted. Let me see if I can unmute him. Because they closed. Oh, Antonio, I don't know if you can hear me, but you're muted right now. Let's see if we can get him in here. The baritones of one Antonio Harvey. He's trying to. There he goes. There you go. There you go. Now you're in there.
Yeah,
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Okay, let me see. Okay, you can hear me now clearly, right?
I hear you now clearly. We're good. What's going on, man? I know it's been too long, man. We've been doing this 2 years. It's been too long since we finally talked to my main man, Antonio. What's up, man? How you doing?
Just trying to take it easy. Doing great. I'm doing great. I know we've been texting back and forth and things like that, but business is business.
Absolutely.
Am I fading in or fading out?
Fading out just a little bit. Just a little bit. It's a little choppy, but it's getting better the more you talk. You good now? Can you hear me?
Okay.
It's a lag.
My connection.
Yeah,
I can't hear you. Yes, sir.
So look, Antonio, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take you off the stream and I'm gonna have you call in. I'm gonna have him call in because I want people to hear about the journey of Antonio and some of the things that he's been a part of. This feels like since the Kings got here, but definitely since the heyday. So I want to have him call in. I don't want any slip ups with that. We're gonna have him call in real quick. So let me get him in here real quick. While you guys do that, I keep telling you guys, hey, Topic Roulette is here. I know Jesse was asking me a question in the chat, and he was like, yo, I don't even know. Jesse, can I say it? I don't want no heat coming your way. Can I say it? About who an overrated Blaze situation? Like, what? Jesse asked me, he said, is San Francisco overrated? And I was like, hold on, come on, man. Show some respect to the city of San Francisco, the great city of San Francisco. But I thought about it like this. And I said, you know what? If I lived in Georgia, would I say, yo, I'm gonna take a week to go and stay in San Francisco? I got to get there. The way people do for Los Angeles, the way people do for San Francisco, even Chicago. Would I do that? I was like, oh man, I don't know. Let me ask Antonio. Antonio, San Francisco. You're from the middle of the country. Were you ever growing up like, yo, I got to get to San Francisco for a week?
I'm from the Midwest, Champaign, Illinois. It's like dead center Illinois.
Yeah.
So I think the first time I had an aunt who lived out here on the West Coast for many, many years. When I was living back then, I was always, I want to go to California. It's California. And then it didn't really matter if it was San Francisco or Los Angeles. I just wanted to get to California. So next year will be my 34th year living here. So I've lived here longer than any other place on earth. And the first place that I dropped into was Oakland. And I was like, wow, San Francisco. Ooh, man. It was so easy on the eyes that I almost felt like crying because it was just so beautiful, and the skyline and stuff. And I really wanted to live there and, and be a part of that culture. But, back in 1988, back then it was extremely high.
Yeah.
And so at this time, my aunt was living in L.A. She had moved back to Chicago for a little while. Then she moved back out here. She was working for the state, so she ended up in Sacramento. So, while I'm touring around Oakland and San Francisco, she was like, hey, well, part of the plan was, if things don't work out there, drift out to Sacramento and, set up shop there. So since August '88, I've been here. But I've always, I love visiting San Francisco. It's not overrated. It's not underrated. It's just right dab in the middle for me. So I appreciate it. I appreciate all of Northern California. I've been living here for 34 years, Casey. I love living in Sacramento. It may not be anybody's cup of tea, but it's always been mine because
absolutely.
Actually, just the diversity. That's what really pulled me into this. I just came from a culture. I'm a country boy. I grew up around a lot of cornfields, but growing up, around the campus of the University of Illinois, there were blacks, there were whites, there were Asians, and there was a lot of Puerto Ricans. But when I come out to Sacramento, it's everybody from every corner of the earth. And, it's about 60, 70 different languages. And, I was culture shocked, not knowing that I was culture shocked. I didn't realize that till years later. But, I just seemed to adjust. And everything here is okay with me, from San Jose to Oakland to San Francisco to Sacramento. San Francisco is okay with me, bro.
I agree. San Francisco is not overrated. It's I love going to San Francisco. I do. I love going and like you said, when I was in college in Hayward, to get out there, and obviously I had seen it a bunch of times before, but to just see next door to where you are, you got a city is beautiful as San Francisco. It's like, oh man, then you get to like those a lot of foggy days, but when you get a clear day, when you see everything, you see the skyline, the Golden Gate in the distance, and the water and everything, it's like, oh, this is picturesque right here. I love San Francisco. I got no
picturesque. When you talk about that visibility too, when everything's on a clear day, it's almost like heaven to me.
I don't think there's a more picturesque place in the country on a clear day than San Francisco. Like seeing that from the East Bay and seeing everything, it's perfect. It is perfect.
It is perfect. And I live about 100 miles south of Chicago, and I've always been enthralled about that skyline, that area. Milwaukee's only like 90 minutes away from downtown Chicago. And you have that eastern edge where Indiana starts and stuff. But there's just nothing, geographically that moves me more than, the San Francisco Bay region area too. So it is picturesque. When you see Chicago, you're really just talking about the skyline. But when you have the skyline here in San Francisco, okay? You have that picturesque, aspect of it. But there's everything else that's surrounding it too, with the Golden Gate bridges, and then the mountainous, and then the ocean. There's not much you can see when you're looking at Michigan Lake. There's nothing to see looking at Michigan Lake. But you see all these other things, with Alcatraz, going on, Pacifica, in that area and stuff. It's just beautiful area to be in. I'll just say it again. I don't think it's overrated. I don't think it's underrated. It's just right dab in the middle for me.
Yeah, I can dig it, man. Tony Harvey, man. Sacramento reporting and journalistic legend out here, man. How long have you been covering the Sacramento Kings? Because I know it's not been forever, not like that. I ain't going to disrespect you.
I'm about to start my 21st year, Kenny.
Oh, man, 21 years. So you started 2001. They were just in the middle of
at the tail end. Let's see. It was really weird when I came in because the Kings had did something really crazy. And my intentions was, Nick Anderson was playing for the ball squad at that time. He used to play for Illinois. And I was just really trying to get in here, to cover the Kings and get a hold of him, especially, with the Kings on the rise. Doug Christie ended up taking his starting spot anyway. But I think the Kings had drafted Corsley Edwards, I believe that was. He was a second round pick, though.
Corsley Edwards.
I think that's the name.
I never heard of Corsley Edwards.
Well, that's why it was kind of funny at that time, when I'm coming in, I think they had got Gerald Wallace the year before, I believe, when he was coming in. The dude, he came from some really weird school out of Connecticut, Central Connecticut or something like that. I do remember. And he didn't even play for the Kings. I don't even know if they even signed him. I have to go back and look. I don't even know if they signed the guy because he never made the roster.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing I know, I think he was playing in the Continental Basketball Association for. He went from getting drafted by the Kings in the second round and played it, and I never heard from him again.
Mm.
So that was, my break in, when I was coming in, and I was doing some reporting for someone else, and at that same time, Oscar Robertson. This was actually the 40th year since he had set that record for triple doubles. So it's been over 50 years now that Russell Westbrook that broke that record hasn't been.
Mm-hmm.
That was my that was my plunge into covering the Kings at that time, and they had a real good series back in 2001. Then Mike Bibbiak came on, but I look back at that time because I've been through it, Kenny. I've been seeing this mess for the last 16, 17 years, and I was just thinking. Somebody was asking me the other day, where did it begin? I would have to say for me around 2005, because when the Kings had finished like 50-32 or something like that year, but then they had got rid of Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Doug was traded to Orlando. Bobby Jackson was having these health issues. He just couldn't stay on the court. He went from 81 games and he went to 60 games. And when he had played 60 games, he won Sixth Man of the Year that 2002-2003 year.
Mm-hmm.
And that summer, they drafted Francisco Garcia after that season. So they had made the playoffs, but these guys were gone. And I didn't really pay attention that, this thing was unraveling then. Okay, because 2005, later on that summer, you got the Sacramento Monarchs. They win the WNBA championship that September of 2005. But going into that season with the Kings, for the 2006 season. So this is the last time that they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
And may he rest in peace. I think Marty McNeil had wrote a story about Rick Adelman doesn't have a contract going into that season.
Mm.
So, we really wasn't thinking anything about it and stuff like that. And, the team finished 50-32. Okay, he still has another year on his contract. So, he's about to start the next season, 2004, 2006. And I believe that they ended up 44-38. They played San Antonio that April. Kevin Martin, he came alive. That was his breakout year. That was it.
Right.
That was it. But I do remember, after that San Antonio series at the old practice facility, Kenny, we were all there, the reporters there, and there's a lot of reporters there at this time. We're down to probably like 10, 12, 15 regular local media guys that cover the Kings now. And we were in the practice facility waiting on an exit interview, if you want to call it that, for Rick Adelman because we knew his situation, okay? And it was quite apparent that the Maloofs was not going to give him another contract. So when he comes in there, I'm focusing. I'm 5-6 years in covering this team. And the first thing that I noticed with Rick Adelman, his lip was trembling. He's walking through there, then he has the other assistant there who used to play at Ole Miss. He played for Washington a long time ago. He was assistant coach. Matter of fact, he came back under Dave Yeager. But anyway, they come in.
Right?
Elston Turner, thank you. Right. Ole Miss, great and stuff. He came back with Yeager and stuff, but he's pretty much trailing Adelman when they coming across the floor, and I'm looking at this. This is not good. This is not good. It's not good. Okay, that was basically it. You know, Adelman was done after 44-38 season. Last time the Kings made the playoffs. A whirlwind of problems started coming up after that, okay? Because, you know, like I said, Francisco Garcia, Quincy Doobie comes in.
Oh, Quincy.
And then, Spencer Hawes.
Oh,
okay,
Spencer
he comes in. Jason Thompson, he comes in. And Tyreek Evans. But the interesting thing about Tyreek Evans, though, you know, Tyreek and Omri Cass came in that year. Yeah. And then after that year, you know, DeMarcus Cousins, then, you know, the Thomas Robinson whole deal, Jimmer Fredette. I've been through it, man.
I know you have.
I've been through it. And I don't care what anybody say. I've been there, you know, for going on for 21 years. There ain't no 5 and 6, 8 years, 13 years old. Antonio Harvey. Okay, and you know, it's just cleared it up. You know, and see Antonio Harvey. That's my byline on my story. But you know, personally, you know, Tony Harvey. I've been there. I've seen this mess. Yeah, and it has gotten worse every year. Now, I'm not going to make a prediction on what they're going to do this year.
Well, okay, so let me ask you. I do want to talk about this year. We're going to talk about this year. I'm Antonio. I'm a put you in a corner. I'm gonna say you gotta tell me something about this year. We're gonna talk about it, but I want to go back to 01, 02, 03, where I know a lot of the guys, all the guys that we talked to, you know, we're still kind of young in the game. You know, I remember, you know, we're all in the same age group where, you know, we're watching it as young fans. You know, we're high school students, college students. You were covering these guys. You were day to day, you know, with Vlade, Chris, Mike Bibby, Jay Will, all these guys. You were day to day with them. What was it like covering that group on a daily basis? Were they all cool with the media? Were they, you know, kind of moody? Like, was it a great? It seemed like a great time. Like, it seemed like everybody's really cool.
You heard of the golden era of Hollywood, right? That, you know, that 1920s, 30, 40, 50, you know, when they were just churning out just great movies all the time. Because, you know, we didn't have social media networks and nothing like that, or any streaming service, you know, with the Netflix and things like that. This was just something really special at that time. And I think it was going on, you know, I went to a couple games. I wasn't covering them from like 99 to 2003, 2004. Okay. That was a really precious time to be covering the Kings. And these guys, every one of them, up and down the line, were great with the local media and the national media. Okay, they were loving what they were doing, and you can see it in their work. You know, it wasn't all fluff or nothing like that. That synergy that they had that was going on between them and stuff. And Vlade was the leader. Vlade was definitely the leader in that locker room. Okay, yeah. And I had not seen that type of leadership since Vlade has left. To be quite honest, so we're talking about over 20 years, and I know. You know, and between him and Doug Christie and in regards to Bobby Jackson, that's something that they want to come back and do. You know, right. They did come back and do, but it's just not happening. But I can tell you, I mean, with Chris, you know, everything was just clicking, everything. And I'm telling you, in that old Arco Arena 2 that they just demolished or still demolishing right now, you couldn't even fit up in that media room. You know how when we go in there, we eat before the game, and then, you know, you had a little coaches conference, hour 45 minutes before the games. You couldn't even fit up in that area, man. It was full every game. It was packed. Yeah. It was packed with reporters across the board, you know, print, radio, television. It was packed. And not to say that I was starstruck or anything like that, because I'm around this time. You know, I'm getting to see people like Gary Gerald, who I call Mr. Indestructible. Okay, and the legend, Henry, right? And you know, Henry Turner, because he used to play in the middle '80s. He played here for about 5 years. I think he got signed on as a free agent with Atlanta. Then he left, but he came back. You know, so I'm getting to see him because I've seen him play, you know, with Mitch Richmond and all these. You know, but hey, I mean, between the players and the organization, I would hope that they would get back to that. But, you know, this is 2000, so that's not going to happen. But it was an amazing time at that time. I really enjoyed, you know, coming in at the time when it was a winning organization. Right. Now, I'm pretty much have been through these years of futility, but right now, I look at it as a starting point. I don't know what these guys want to do this season, but it looks like they're really they got one foot in the right direction. Because those early years, was it about a string of 8 years that they were made the playoffs? Those days are not coming back. We have to understand that. We can live on it. We can hang our hats on it. But right now, what they're trying to do and what Mon-Fri has constructed, get us man another contract, please. Another contract.
I hear you on that.
They're headed in the right direction.
Yeah. Tony Harvey here, Sacramento journalistic legend, man. He's been around for 21 years, he said, but it just seems like I don't know a time when Antonio wasn't around, man. So always good to talk with him right now. I got to ask you, let's talk about this year's team, man. And I know that, I understand that there's apprehension there, but I look at this squad and I look what Monty McNair's done in this offseason, and I know it'd be crazy for somebody to say, oh, they're guaranteed to do this and that. Team ain't won nothing in 16 years. So who would anybody be to say, they're guaranteed to get there? But I got to tell you, Tone, I like what this roster is. I like what they could be. I like the additions. You see a guy like Keegan Murray as well. I don't know, man. I'm feeling them right now. How are you feeling about this Kings team coming into this season?
I'm really, because every year we go through these things, I make these funky predictions, and they start off okay, then later on, like the 20th game, the wheels start falling off and stuff. So I'm really, really, really trying to be reserved in all the things that are happening right now. Okay. I was definitely one of the ones after they got the number one pick. I tweeted it right away. Keegan Murray, to me, was the BPA / fit. A lot of people didn't see it that way. I understand that. Everybody had to have their opinions. Mm-hmm. But I have Big Ten on speed dial, on stream dial, if you want to call it like that. Yeah, so I've seen a lot of these games in the last couple of years to see, I even liked it when he was coming off the bench, what he was doing. Because all he was doing was playing defense and getting rebounds. Yeah. That's all they ever asked for him and stuff. So, and then, he makes this huge, humongous jump, okay? In the Big Ten, it was no easy, these guys beat up on each other, Kenny, night in and night out. Yeah. Okay? And then, by the time they get to the tournament, they're going to beat the hell out of each other so much that, a lot of these Big Ten teams fail when they get, to the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. Okay? But this kid, I'm watching this kid, how you start off the season and how he finished it off was just absolutely perfect. Mm-hmm. So I like Jaden Ivey too, okay? And I like Shaden Sharp. Matter of fact, I wanted Keegan at a distance. I wanted Shaden Sharp, okay? Mm-hmm. But I did not want Jaden, but I understand that he will have longevity in the NBA. He's going to be something special. He is going to be that. Yeah. But looking at with the Kings, it's like, you guys, I don't deserve no extravagance or no luxuries either and stuff like that. You need to take this cat, okay? and for your, he can shoot from the outside, okay? He's a good rebounder, okay? He's a good defender. He didn't show a lot of it in summer league game, but he'll go up and he'll block those shots. Right. Okay. He can do a lot of things. You need this guy. That's why I say BPA / fit. Okay. The golden rule is to take the best player available. Yeah. But this cat here sitting here, what you need to do, and you really need to put together some victories. I mean, a string of victories. I don't think it would be a bad thing to pick this guy. Because when we were sitting in that the new training facility next to Golden One Center, the Kaiser Permanente training facility. Yeah. You couldn't hear a pin drop, amongst the local media. There were like 3 or 4 guys up in there, who really appreciated, them picking Keegan, but everybody else, man, I'm telling you, look, they fell into the mud.
Look, Tone, he proved everybody wrong this summer, man, with the way he played, and we hope that it could go into the following season. Hey, Tone, man, I got to have you on again at some point, man. We got to do this. You're my mentor. I appreciate everything that you've done for me since I was a high schooler, getting me into this game. Thank you, man. And we got to make it happen again, man, for sure, man. I appreciate you tapping in.
love having this talk, man. Anytime I can come back and and add a little vision, or not actually add a little this and that to conversation. Love it, bro.
You know
and
it.
I love what you're doing too, Kenny. Keep doing what you're doing, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, man. Tony Harvey, man, here on D-Lo and KC. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to be right back, and we're going to talk more about what's going on in the NBA and the Kings. Matt George is coming up soon and everything else, man. So we got a lot in store right here on D-Lo and KC, ESPN 1320. Yes, sir. Bro. hey, man, just let him go. Are you for real? You mean like you or like me and Damien too? Well, bro, we're gonna be homeless. Yeah, that's crazy, man. It is like the end of August, pretty much. Damn, you guys don't mind me. I've got to send this email. Hold on, guys. All right, I'm back. Jesse, you might tap in with me on this one a little bit. Oh, we gotta do the contest too, huh? Okay. I was just saying I'm gonna ask you something, even if they can't hear on the stream. I'll get your opinion on something. To hell with them. Oh, this is a crazy little question. Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. As a matter of fact, they hadn't won since 2008. They've won one since what? 87, 86? They are basketball's Yankees. I'm trying to think, when did they win in 85 maybe? Getting on 1 in 40 years. It did. That was tough. But hey, you had the Antoine Walker, Paul Pierce combo. Got you to the Eastern Conference Finals. Jesse, you're my guy. I'm bringing this to the air. I'm bringing this one to the air. Jesse, we were talking last week about the Yankees. I think I was on the show. Or it was on stream. And I was just talking about how, like, obviously I'm a Giants fan. Like, that's first and foremost, 100 times out of 100. But I was like, yo, I like the Yankees. I'm cool with the Yankees. The Yankees are cool. And Jesse's a Red Sox fan, so obviously he hates the Yankees. But I don't think that's like far off from, general consensus. Like, a lot of people don't like the Yankees, even if you're not a Red Sox fan. Like, they're like the Duke of baseball, or the Cowboys of baseball, where people just really sick of them, right? And Jesse was getting on everything. He's like, man, Yankees, they ain't done nothing. They won one title in 2009. They haven't done anything other than that. Like, it's old news, man. Ain't nobody worried about the Yankees. So Jesse brings that up again during break, and he says, I was thinking about who would the Yankees of basketball be. And he was looking around, looking at different teams. He probably was like, I want to say the Lakers, but Lakers, they won recently. Can't really say them. And he's like, damn, is it the Celtics? and they fit the criteria. You know what I mean? They won one in 2008. And other than that, one in 2008, they hadn't won an NBA title since 1985-86 season. We talking about 35 plus years or something like that. What is that, 37? What is it, Jesse? Your Celtics are the Yankees. It's definitely the Celtics. They are the Yankees of Major League Baseball. Cowboys are the Yankees of football, right? Actually, the Cowboys, I mean, I don't mean no disrespect when I say this, Jesse, but the Cowboys, they're not the Yankees of Major League Baseball, football. They're the Celtics of the NFL. Yeah. The Cowboys are in a league of their own. I think if memory serves me correct, I think the Cowboys have 2 playoff wins since 1996. They beat the Seahawks and the Eagles. I think those are the only 2 wins that they've had since 1996. Bro, we're talking about, what are we, 30 plus years? Is that what we're talking about? They did beat the Lions. So they got 3. They got the Lions, the Seahawks, and the Eagles. And those were all in the wild card game. They hadn't won anything past the wild card game. I don't know how long. Look, here, Rob W. He's in the chat. He's in the chat talking about just the thing. Cowboys have a more recent title than the Niners. I'm not here to disparage the Cowboys. I'm not hating. Is it hating, or is it me just talking about the facts? You tell me. Yeah, okay, that's what happens when you win 2 Super Bowls. Okay, but look, 2 Super Bowl appearances. We didn't make the NFC Championship like 5 times since then. Come on, man. Wow, that's crazy. So y'all can't hear Jesse on the stream. The radio heard him loud and clear. I'll bring it up again. He just said, and he may be 100% right. He said the Niners may be the team of the decade in the NFC. The only team that could get with them, since we're not talking about winning the championship, because the Niners haven't done that, winning the Super Bowl, you'd probably say the Packers would be ahead of the Niners, because they've gotten to, but they never got to the Super Bowl. Niners got to one. Well, We're talking decades, so we're talking 20. We'll just start at 2010 since it's early 2022. Niners have gotten to 2 Super Bowls since then. I guess if you're saying 2010, I think the Packers have won the Super Bowl in 2010. Yeah. And they've been consistently great. Like they fell on their face every time. They've been choke artists every single time. But I mean, they're like 13-3 every year. They're in the multiple NFC championship games. They lose those NFC championship games at home. That's a whole nother story. But I got to give them the nod. But other than that, that would be it. I mean, I guess maybe you throw Seattle in there. Yeah. Team of the decade in the NFC. It's between the Niners, Seahawks, and Packers. And to be honest with you, if I'm being fair, the Niners are last on that list. They've won a lot, surprising. Like here's the thing with the Niners, though, in the last 10, 12 years. There has never been a middle ground. They've either been Super Bowl contenders or 2-14. Like they haven't been, 10-7. We lost in the first round of the playoffs. Like that hadn't been them. So that's what kind of skews people with that. Oh. Well, Jim Tom Sula, I think they were both there for a year. So it might have been 2 to 3 years. No, it might have been 2 years. He asked the question, how long was the Tom Sula, Chip Kelly phase? I think they both just got a year. And then Shanahan came in and they were bad Shanahan's first year. The second year, were they bad again? Because Jimmy came in. Yeah, they were bad. No. Yeah, so Jimmy came in at the end of the season and won the final. He came in and around, I would think it was Halloween was the actual day he was traded, but he didn't play until the final 5 games of the season. I believe that was Shanahan's second season. I think that was Shanahan's second season. So he wins the final 5 games, and then the next year he starts the season. They lose in Minnesota. They win in Detroit, and then he tears his ACL in Kansas City. They're telling me Chip Kelly got 2 years. Bryce is saying Chip got 2 years. So to answer your question, that whole Tom Sula, Kelly era, combining that with Shanahan's first year, that was 4 years. 4-year drought of just nastiness. The Niners started, I think, 0-9 in Shanahan's first year. Wow. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm glad that's coming to an end. I mean, can Kings fans say that about the Lakers? No, the Warriors. They can say about the Warriors. Would you say 20 years? It's not 20 years, but we're going on 10 years of the Warriors just beating the brakes off the Kings. Yeah, right. So yeah, that's a good question. But we did establish that the Celtics are the Yankees of Major League Baseball, or excuse me, of the NBA, and the Cowboys are in a class of their own. No storied franchise has been like the Cowboys. No. And they've lost. The crazy thing about the Cowboys, once again, no shade, no disrespect, Rob W. I'm just talking here. They've lost a bunch of home games in the playoffs. Like they be getting buys, they be getting the first wild card game at home, and they just lose. Just be losing. I heard we heard Leezy talking about it in the chat. He was talking about the Eagles or whatever the case may be. Even with how I feel about the Cowboys in the past, I still think they're the best team in that division. Although they've lost a lot on the low. They've lost a lot of players, on the low this offseason. Yeah, that's true. In the chat, you guys aren't hearing on the stream, you're not hearing Jesse, and I agree with him. He says if Jalen Hurts is like Jimmy G level, it's not good enough. But if Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback this year, I think the Eagles can win that division. I'm still going with the Cowboys for right now, but man, they thinking about it, they lost a lot. That offensive line is getting older by the year. Zeke is not looking like Zeke. I don't know. That defense, you got Parsons, who is a beast, even though, last time we heard from Parsons, I mean, I think I can go ahead and play it. Last time we heard from Parsons.
Isolating the sweet science of the sport, doctrinating my style. But we're going back to the raw, rugged streets.
Yeah. He was talking about his matchup with the Niners. That was the last time we heard him. But no, he's a phenomenal player. But I think Trayvon Diggs was a little bit of smoke and mirrors last year, so you don't know what you're getting defensively. But right now, I haven't made the official prediction. Right now, I'd still go with the Cowboys to win the East. I got a question I want to ask the chat, and I want to ask Jesse. But before I do that, we got some business to take care of. First of all, you're listening to ESPN 1320. KIFM West Sacramento, KRXQ HD2 Sacramento, an Odyssey station, and driven by last year's Elk Grove Dodge. And we got to remind you that the countdown is on for Uriah Faber's A1 Combat number 5 at Hard Rock Live on Saturday, September 3rd. It's 14 bouts of live MMA in the cage action. And we got you covered. We got you covered here on ESPN 1320. We're giving away 1 pair of tickets each day. We've been doing it all week. Now it's Thursday. We're doing it from Monday to Friday. You still got an opportunity to win a pair of tickets to that A1 Combat at Hard Rock Live on September 3rd. All you need to do is be the third caller starting now at 916-349-1320. Third caller gets a pair of tickets to go see A1 Combat number 5 at Hard Rock Live on September 3rd. And remember, the grand prize, one of the winners that gets the tickets, the grand prize is a signed pair of A1 Combat gloves, and we'll draw the winner after the show on Friday. And that's the creme de la creme right there when you talk about this contest. So starting now, caller number 3, call in at 916-349-1320, and you can get an opportunity to see Uriah Faber's A1 Combat number 5 at Hard Rock Live on Saturday, September 3rd, and 14 bouts of live MMA action. So check that out. I think I did better today. I think I did better. Jesse Jesse might be taking calls right now, but I think I did better. Yesterday I was very upset with the way I performed. I was like, this is trash. I didn't do good at all. But yeah, I did better with the call today, and I'm ready to go. I have a question, but Matt George is going to be joining me in just a second. He's getting some things taken care of real quick to get ready to come on and talk that talk with me. But yeah, man, we're talking Kings basketball. I talked to Matt George earlier in the day, and we were talking about some of the things that I said with you guys about being excited and looking forward to this team and looking forward to what they could be. And I got to be real with you, man. I didn't see it coming. I didn't think that this group, the front office included, was going to be able to capture imagination of the fan base again. I just didn't think they could do it. Last year was such a terrible season. I thought last year was such a disaster on so many fronts that it had sucked the life out of this fan base. I don't get into like, they killed the fan base, or what's the one that it broke the fan base. I mean, I guess technically you could say all that, whatever the case may be, but I just thought they weren't enthused. I thought the fan base had gotten into a point where it was just like, you got to show me. You got to show me. I'm not going to sit up there and just accept that, oh, next year is going to be different and De'Aaron Fox and all this other stuff. There's like, you got to show me with some of the moves that you made. And I thought they did that. I thought they did a good job of that in this offseason. I thought they did a great job of that. They had Keegan Murray and the draft pick that they made and what he turned into and what he showed this summer. They had that on deck. Going out and getting Malik Monk in free agency. I thought that got everybody rejuvenated and had people feeling good. And then you follow that up by getting Kevin Huerter and bringing him into the fold. And it got people going. You see De'Aaron Fox, you think about the way he finished at the end of the season and being able to play with Domantas Sabonis for a whole year. And yeah, I felt like the fan base had kind of died. And Monty McNair, and I'm gonna give him credit, Monty McNair and my man Uncle V, Vivek Ranadive, they brought it back. And now you get to the point where people are excited. People are looking forward to it. And the guy that I have on right now, my next guest from the Locked On Kings Network, he was talking to Matt George, a.k.a. Matty McQueen. He was talking about how excited he is for the start of the season. And Matt, before you came on, I was just talking about how the Kings and Monty McNair have been able to somehow, some way flip the pessimists in all Kings fans and flip that into being excited and optimistic and ready for the start of the season. And it surprised the heck out of me.
Yeah, I mean, he deserves a lot of credit, right, just for the offseason that he's put together. But a lot of it has to do, and I think I've said this before with you guys, is what I like the most about this offseason that Monty McNair's put together is it's simple. It's easy to understand. And I'm not trying to discredit him by saying, oh, any general manager could do this. What I mean is he had a clear plan and he executed it. He needed to upgrade his defense. He needed to upgrade his shooting. He went out and got a bunch of shooters, got a defensive-minded head coach that's well-respected around the league. He surrounded his best two guys. He didn't have to go out and look for a new star and retool this roster and look for a guy to build around. He already had his building blocks. He did that work, adding Sabonis at the trade deadline. Now he had to add to that. The foundation was there. Now you have to build something that's worth a damn on top of it. And I think he's done that this offseason. That's why he's getting the recognition, not just from us here in Sacramento, the excitement, not just from us here in Sacramento, but you see people around the league look at the Kings roster going, okay, Sacramento might have a squad. I don't know if that amounts to anything, but Sacramento has a squad. And Monty has done a phenomenal job of addressing those two major needs. And another need and request of mine, Kenny, was like I wanted the Kings to bring a roster into this season that was loaded with NBA talent, that I wanted them to get rid of those fringe guys. And it's important. It's good to have guys like Neemias Queta, Keon Ellis, those guys on two-way contracts. That's what those spots are for. I'm okay even using your 15th or 14th spot on guys like Akpolo or Meneke, guys that are trying to establish himself in the league. That's fine, but that guy can't be 10, 11, and 12. Right. And the Kings have gotten 10, 11, 12, I think 13 guys that are capable of playing in a steady NBA rotation on a winning team.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. And I'm looking at this squad and I'm looking at, the way the roster is playing out and some of the roster battles, the camp battles that they're going to end up having for, third string guys, guys that probably, ideally won't play, but every 3, 4, 5 games, right? But they're still bringing a competitive nature to this team. And a lot of people have said they still need a little bit more from the Kings or whatever the case may be. Do you think, and when I ask you this question, I'm not saying are they set to go to the playoffs right now or, they're just locked in. But do you think they need to make another move to strengthen this team? Or are they ready to go to start training camp to compete for playing playoff spots?
Well, I believe Monty McNair when he says that he's always keeping an eye out for moves to make to upgrade the team. I just don't know necessarily where you go from here. Like the biggest trade asset that Sacramento has is a guy that we've already talked a lot about this summer, which is Harrison Barnes. But like we've talked about before, if you're trading Harrison Barnes, you're trying to upgrade your roster, not get worse. And ultimately, I think you're lucky if you trade Harrison Barnes right now and it's a push, right? If you trade Harrison Barnes for a talent that's equal to him, that's younger on a better contract, that's a push. And even that is, I think, a low chance of happening, low likelihood of happening. So in reality, I think the Kings have upgraded their roster in the best way they possibly could this offseason. Now, maybe this wouldn't fly in an LA or in a Miami or with a couple of these big markets that know, okay, we can change our roster and add a star overnight. That's just not the way it is here in Sacramento. The way you build is by doing what Monty has done. You bring in pieces that are established, pieces that maybe go under the radar a little bit. Like Kevin Huerter, I think, is a perfect example. Like Kevin Huerter is a very solid basketball player in Atlanta. You tell a lot of other teams around the league, or if a lot of other markets were to tell their fan base, hey, Kevin Huerter was the best addition we had this offseason, it's probably a disappointing offseason to them. In Sacramento, I think it's a phenomenal offseason when you partner that with a Malik Monk pickup, a Mike Brown hire, and the fact that Coach Brown and Monty seem to be on such a similar page or on the same wavelength, the amount of guys that from Brown's past, whether it's with the Nigerian team, his time in Golden State, his time in Cleveland, his time in LA, it seems like Monty and his coach are really working together to not just formulate a roster that they're going to bring into the regular season, but to bring in guys who are going to compete, who have the reputation that Brown is looking for, to start that competition level at a high level at the beginning of training camp. Like the Kings, I'm expecting will be ready to go come the end of preseason, come the 19th, I think it is, their home opener, because they're going to have been working and competing for the last month.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's Matt George from ABC 10 and Locked On Kings here on D-Lo and KC, aka KC and Friends today. You know, I got all my people coming through here today, and I agree with that point. And we talked about something on your latest podcast on the Locked On where we were talking about the schedule, and we'll get into that on here as well. But we talked about how there needs to be a bit of a shift with how the Kings are viewed, and it's up to them to make that change, to just come in and say, look, we're ready to go from day one. We don't have to ease in anything. We're going to make sure that when we step on this floor, there's a level of competitiveness that the other team is going to feel. They're going to feel that immediately. And that's something that I think gets established around this time. You know, not saying that they have to be playing right now, but you see like photos of De'Aaron Fox on his honeymoon working on his game, and they'll be coming here to Sacramento to scrimmage and things of that nature. It's going to be time to hit the ground running for this team, and it's got to start day one. I think they'll be in a good mindset to be able to do that the way you just talked about.
Yeah, I do agree. I think, like, you think back to the 2018 season, right? You think of how the Kings got off to that really, really good start and caught some teams by surprise. But the narrative was still, right, oh, man, they got a bright future. Like, I remember Kevin Durant doing an interview during shoot-around here in Sacramento, and he was talking about, and I think Draymond Green also, they were leaping a ton of praise on, like, De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield and that course. Like, okay, the Kings building something here. Like, you can see it. I like what this young team is doing. That has to be different. Like, even though that was positive praise and that was the best start that the Kings have gotten off to maybe in the entire 16 years that they've been here, maybe with the or in this drought, with the exception of DeMarcus Cousins' bad or great start before he got sick. I think the narrative needs to change so the Kings get off to a good start like that again, which I think they absolutely have to if they want any chance of making the playoffs. And the narrative is not, oh, this team is going to be something. No, this team is something now. Like, and that doesn't necessarily have to be a championship contender or anything like that. Like, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. But I want the Kings to establish themselves day one as, oh, this is a team that we can't take lightly right away. And it's not just a mindset of, because every team will say, oh, you can't take any team lightly in the NBA. But, you know, good teams look at teams like Houston, San Antonio, those teams at the bottom, and go, yeah, we should beat them. We're not going to take them lightly, but yeah, we should beat them pretty comfortably, like just based off where we're at. The Kings can't be in that category. The Kings have to be the team that's like, we have to take them seriously because they can beat anyone on any given night. And I think this roster is capable of that. But you're right. In order for that narrative to change, the Kings have to show it first. Nobody's going to give them that.
Yeah, for sure. Got my main man, Matt George, on D-Lo and KC today. And Matt, there's some things that I want to ask you that we talked about a little bit as far as home court advantage, as far as what is a national television game. All right, I want to ask you all that stuff, but we're going to take a quick break. I got Matt George from ABC 10 and Locked On Kings. Coming back with me on the other side is Kenny Caraway here on D-Lo and KC. Cool. Appreciate you, Matt. Yeah, we're clear.
What's up?
Appreciate you, man.
Kevin, you want to come say hi to Kenny?
My main man, Kevin John.
Come here, come say hi.
What's up, Kim? What's good? Hey,
what's
man,
up?
Happy birthday, bro. Didn't you just have your birthday like a few weeks ago or something?
My birthday was about damn near a month ago.
Oh, God dang. Well, you know, better late than never, man.
No, it was like a month ago, but thanks, man. Appreciate you, man. How you doing, man?
Hey, bro, I'm just hanging in, man. Just trying to do the best I can, working alongside this stud right here.
You're doing it, man. You're doing it. I see you. I see you on the screen, man. I see you guys doing what you do, man. So keep doing it, man.
And likewise, I see y'all as well.
Yes,
y'all are making moves over there, man. I'm just blessed to say I still know who D-Lo and KC are, you know? Real talk, man.
Hey, man, Kevin, we gotta talk to you one of these days, man. We got to get you on here, man, and rap with you a little bit.
I would be blessed. I was waiting for when y'all were gonna come to me. You know what I mean?
Now that
I'll give you something nicer to look at than caveman right here. So you know.
No, look, man, I got the lined up beard You know what I'm saying? I see him lined up on the beard. He ain't just scruffy. He got a little lineup going, man. Probably a little straight edge. I see that. I see him, man. I see him.
You know, he's slowly, but surely getting there, you know. So, but yeah, man, really good. I see you representing that Crenshaw too, man.
Yeah, man. Shout out to the Marathon Clothing. Marathon continues. Check out, and you probably like this, Kevin and Matt. You know, check out me and Damien. We got a new podcast, Corners of the Culture, talking about basically the culture. It's exactly what it sounds like. And the last episode was on Nip. Came out today, man. So check that out, man. Some good stuff.
Especially if it's for the culture. You know I'm going to check it out.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt.
All right, man.
What happened, big dog?
Hey, you too, Kenny. Keep grinding, brother. Glad to see you and D-Lo taking over, man.
Yes, sir. Likewise, man. You take care.
All right, brother.
All right.
Here you go, man. Take care of my man right there. You know?
You'd think a TV guy would know how to frame himself in the shot, Kevin. Just seeing your chin the entire time. Jesus. Come on.
At least I have an attractive chin. Okay?
You guys might need a reality show.
This is a common occurrence. The amount of times that we've had sports debates in here that have risen to an octave way too high so the entire newsroom can hear everything we're saying. We can't help it. We're sports guys.
Yeah, like Ben saying, this is the greatest home run I've ever seen, and it was like 405 feet.
No,
get out of here. The farthest home run I've ever seen in my life.
No, that's not the context. He's dumb. He's wrong.
What home run was he talking about?
So there was I can't remember. I think it was an Atlanta Braves prospect, but I can't remember. It was his first ever game, and he hit the ball over the Green Monster and out of Fenway Park. And I was like, damn, like first ever game and you hit the ball out of a stadium. Like that's pretty rad. Yeah. It's Green Monster. So it's shorter. It's only like 440 feet or whatever it was, but I was still impressed. He hit it out of a ballpark in his first game. Kevin, that's not good enough for me over there. It's just deciding, you know, and I'm just going to rip everything because I could do everything myself. So,
dude, have you ever seen me hit a baseball?
No, the baseball hit you.
Actually, that's true. But at least I stood it and took it like a chip.
I'm telling you, that's what you guys need to do. You guys need to go take batting practice at Rayleigh Field or Sutter Health, whatever it is now.
Oh boy,
yeah.
I was never the hitter. I was the defensive player. I was never the hitter.
Yeah,
probably because I'm shaped like a bat.
Well, you know, it's on the legs, it's on the hips, the twerk that you could get.
Yeah, have you seen my legs and my hips, Kenny Caraway?
No, I haven't seen your legs.
It looks like the handle of the bat.
Oh man, you guys going anywhere? No, the Niners are gone.
No, nothing today, but we're hitting the ground running with our high school football coverage on Friday.
Yes. You guys going to Folsom in Monterey Trail?
Yeah, that's our game of the week, Folsom Monterey Trail. I won't be there though. I think Kevin's going to be at that game. I'm think we haven't worked out the schedule yet, but I think I'm going to Elk Grove for Oak Ridge and Kasum.
Two games you're going to be at.
Oh,
Matt.
that's going to be a good game.
You are going to be at Wood Creek versus Franklin and Roseville versus Oakmont.
Okay, I'm Wood Creek versus Franklin.
So you'll be in Roseville.
And Roseville versus Oakmont.
Oak Ridge does play Consume this Oak though?
Jeremy to get of the week.
Oh, that's going to be a
the
game.
start time to 8:00.
So you're going to the Elk Grove games?
So
you're going to the games that I pitched? Or are you going to Stockton?
The games that I'm doing, Elk Grove versus Granite Bay, and then
okay, hold on.
All right, we're coming back.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
I had to mute the mic of the Odd Couple as we were coming back, as they're breaking down. They're having a staff meeting right now, figuring out where they're going for high school football. Week 0 gets kicked off on Friday night. So, yeah, Matt's going to be somewhere in Wood Creek somewhere.
Kevin, Wood Creek. I'll be at Wood Creek versus Franklin and Roseville versus Oak Ridge. So those are the games I'll be at, and I'm excited, man. Wood Creek's my alma mater. I'm a Timberwolf, so I'll be. Yeah, Wood Creek class of 2012, baby.
Didn't they have a I don't know if you were there. Matter of fact, I know you weren't there. Didn't they have a like a highly touted prospect come out of there a couple years ago?
Football prospect. There was a big basketball prospect there for a while, but I think he transferred to another school. But
yeah, he was like a prep school or something like that.
Yeah, I wasn't covering them for a while at that time. But yeah, he was a pretty decent name, but yeah, I wasn't covering at the time. Oh, well, Wood Creek. We were always better for hoops than we were for football, but hopefully that changes this year.
What you guys need to do, I'm telling you right now, is you guys need to get out to Hughes Stadium on a Friday night and go see the McClatchy Lions. All right, playoff mound again this year. Let's go. Rawr, rawr.
I'll probably make it out to at least one. I'll probably make it out to at least one today, tonight, or this year, whatever.
Yeah, they need to hold up their end of the bargain and be good. But we were talking about the Sacramento Kings before we went to break, and I wanted to ask you one thing that we talked about earlier. Once again, check me out on the Locked On Kings podcast, the latest episode with my man Matt George. But we talked about the Kings establishing their home court, right? And saying, like, look, you come into Sacramento, you got to be prepared to play. We're not doing all this stuff where, you know, you just come in here and it's another easy night. It's another situation where you don't have to worry about playing defense. You don't have to worry about stepping up. None of that stuff. They need to establish the home court. And our guy Will Z, he had a stat that kind of just boggled the mind a little bit when you talk about what the team was last year and what they could be this year. It says last season the Kings were 16-25 at home. If they're going to make the playoffs, they have to defend home court. They start with 4 or 5 games at the G1C, and they have 6 in a row at the end of December. And he asked the question, which I think is perfectly fair. Is 24-17 at home too much to ask for? Absolutely not.
No, not at all. You need that if you want to be anywhere remotely close to a 500 team, I think.
Absolutely. And that, if they were to get to 24-17, I mean, that's 8 games better at home than they were last year. And I just think about, like, people's thoughts about what this team could be this year. And you keep hearing these numbers. The 30 win total from last year is a total. It's just, that's terrible. That's not good at all. 30 wins. Then you talk about the home record of being 16-25. That's atrocious. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, they even if they're not great, even if they're 500, I got them 7 games over 500 at home. But if you're around 500 at home and you're, you know, just kind of just a better team overall, I feel like that should get them to 36, 37, 38 wins. I mean, it shouldn't be that much with this roster and having a guy like Sabonis around all year long to go along with Mike Brown being here. Shouldn't be that much to get into that 36, 37 win total.
Well, the reality is an around 500 team at home is a below average team. An above 500 team at home is a average team, and then a unbeatable team at home. Those are like the cream of the crop. Like, that's what the Kings were in the day, in the early 2000s, in the late 90s. Like, they did not lose games at home regardless of the competition. And that's changed to, regardless of the competition, the Kings have a great chance to lose at home. I can't tell you how many times, like, the Golden One Center is a phenomenal building, but that building has not been friendly to teams coming in and absolutely punching the Kings in the mouth for no reason, whether it's blowing them out on a night that they should win. I remember the New York Knicks coming in when they were a really bad team a couple of years ago, and the Kings were up by like 20-something on them. They lost that game. Remember when the Brooklyn Nets came in the year that they were led by D'Angelo Russell? Kings blew a new near 30-point lead against them, lost that game. Like, there are teams that only come into Golden One Center once a year and they march in like, yeah, this is our yard, we're fine. Like, that can't happen. That can't happen. And it's not just like, look, I expect when the Golden State Warriors come to town, I expect half the arena to be filled with Warriors fans. Fine. When the Lakers come to town, I expect half the arena to be filled with Lakers fans. Like, I expect that. Part of me actually kind of likes that atmosphere a little bit. I look forward to those games. Of course, I'd rather see it all be Kings fans, but the rivalry atmosphere, I think, is a little bit fun. I think it's the fans that keep that rivalry alive more than it's the players and the teams themselves, because the Kings have been irrelevant to the Lakers and Warriors for almost 2 decades now. Mm-hmm. So, like, I expect those games to be kind of a 50-50 environment. And look, there's always going to be fans from every team. When the Chicago Bulls come to town, you always see Bulls jerseys in the crowd. When Eastern Conference teams come in, you won't, like Milwaukee Bucks, for some reason, there's always a good amount of Bucks fans in the building.
There's a lot of Celtics fans that come through.
Well, yeah, like that's going to happen. That's fine. But that doesn't mean that you're going to give up your advantage at home. And on top of that, like, you're sleeping in your own bed. Like, all these things play a factor, not a massive factor, but all these things that you're sleeping in your own bed. This is your turf, your preparation, your fan base. Like, you need to be significantly better at home if you want any chance of being good. Can you suddenly become a road warrior team that is above 500 on the road to bail yourself out? Yeah, but good luck relying on that, right? Mm-hmm. So Sacramento definitely needs to handle their business at home. Another reason why they have to get off to such a hot start, regardless of their competition. 4 out of your first 5 at home, Kenny. At worst, you need to be 2-3 during that stretch, but I'm even disappointed with 2-3. You need to be 3-2 during that stretch. You need to.
What do you think is the catalyst for them changing the way things go on at the Golden One Center? Is it just like in your opinion, if you had your choice of what changes things, would it be that people come in and go to one center and they just get grimy defensively, and you know, it's just a headache for teams to come in and play, the crowd gets into it, all this other stuff? Or would you want like the greatest show on court where these guys are flamethrowers, they're knocking down shots, you know, they're getting up and down on a fast break or whatever the case may be? You may be able to score on them a little bit on the defensive end, but man, you better have your track shoes on when you come to go to one center. Which one would you prefer?
I think it's the second one. I think as much as like it would be nice for the Kings to become like a grimy defensive team, kind of like the Memphis Grizzlies were. And I went through a period of time as a fan, this was before I was covering the team, where I went to every Kings Grizzlies game in Sacramento during their like the Grizzlies grit and grind era with Zebo and Marc Gasol, and when Rudy Gay was on that team, and young Mike Conley and everything. And those games were atrocious because the final score was like 84-86. Like that was the way the Grizzlies played basketball. I think the Kings style is run you out of the building, and the Kings get the extra burst of energy that they need to close out a game from the fan base while the other team is tired out. Like, and that's, I mean, that sounds kind of romanticized. It's not like the fans actually have that much power necessarily, but you can feed off the energy of an arena, especially when it gets going and gets rocking. I think the Sacramento Kings, especially early on, have to repeat kind of what they did in 2018, which is run teams out of buildings, out condition them. Like I remember during that 2018 season, the Minnesota Timberwolves, who weren't nearly as good then as they were, or they are this season, or they are currently. And I remember probably third quarter, after the halftime break, Karl Anthony Towns just being gassed. Like, we were less than a month into the season, and Karl Anthony Towns could not hang, and I couldn't blame him. The Kings were absolutely running him up and down the floor. He was guarding Willie Cauley-Stein, who was running up and down the floor. Like, that's a good way for you to take teams out of games. In addition to that, you use your energy of your crowd at home to maybe get you over the hump a little bit. Plus, this roster now is loaded with athletes to where Fox needs a breather. Davion Mitchell can continue to push the tempo. Malik Monk in for Kevin Huerter. I don't know. Keegan Murray can run the floor. Like, Rashawn Holmes can run the floor off the bench. So I think it's pushing the tempo that's going to be key.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think there's a little bit of a misnomer with Mike Brown being there, and even with some of the things that some of the teams that he had in the past that didn't do a whole lot of running. You know, those LeBron Cavs teams were just, you know, it was a rock fight every night and things of that nature. And I think a lot of people think that that's how Mike Brown is going to coach this team, and that would be a mistake, I think, with somebody like De'Aaron Fox and guys that can get up the floor like Malik Monk and things of that nature, Davion Mitchell. I don't think he's going to coach that way, though. I think he learned that you have to see what the strengths are of your personnel when he was in Golden State, and you have to adjust accordingly. You know, and you have to put them in the best situation to be the best player that they can be for their strengths. And I think they will get up and down the court. I think they will be a bit of a fast breaking team. They'll understand the virtues and it's necessary to play defensively and get a stop before you do anything. But I don't think it's going to be a situation where it's going to be like, all right, get a stop here and then, you know, walk the ball up. I think they're going to be empowered to get their stops, to, you know, create turnovers and get out on the open floor and let the crowd get hyped into the game, get locked into what's going on, and help boost your energy if you're the Sacramento Kings as the game goes along.
Well, Kenny, I know you understand this too. Like, I think getting defensive stops, playing better defense makes you a better fast break team. Like, absolutely. Sacramento in 2018, they got out to the fast break when they got defensive stops and when they got defensive rebounds. But hell, they were taking the ball out on the inbound super quickly just to try and beat you up the floor when they would still give up a bunch of points. Like, if Mike Brown gets the team to play defensively the way that we expect, like if Davion Mitchell gets a steal, if Domantas Sabonis gets a block, if the Kings secure a rebound, they're running off of that. Like, it's easier to get out and run off of a stop than it is taking the ball out of the baseline. So I think that's a big deal. And then I like what Gwitty Cube said here in the chatty house. He said, average players become all-stars when they play against the Kings. I want us to stop that, especially at the Golden One Center. Like, that's a good point. Like, how many times, and we almost make a joke out of it, but we make a joke out of it so consistently that it's a problem, right? You expect Giannis to come in here and drop 30. You expect LeBron to come in here and have a good game. But there's no reason why player 6th, 7th man on the roster or fill-in starter on whatever team should come in here and have the game of his life. And to me, that speaks more to the Kings' reputation than anything else, because guys come into the Golden One Center, guys come into a matchup against the Sacramento Kings with the expectation that they're going to get theirs tonight. It's like, this is my opportunity to shine. I'm going to get good looks. This team's so tragic defensively. I'm going to have a lot of opportunities to score. They come in with that mindset and they execute, because, scoring so much is about confidence. Like, the Kings need to fix that as well as a lot of their other defensive problems. Don't let everybody come into this building believing that tonight's going to be their night. The court is purple for a reason, not a chameleon of their team color.
Exactly. Matt George from ABC 10 and Locked On Kings joining me here on D-Lo and KC. Once again, KC and Friends today, the KC and Friends edition of D-Lo and KC. And you talk about, random guys coming in here and scoring, and Gwitty Cube talks about it as well. I'm always reminded of, I believe his name was Troy, last name Daniels. He played for the Hornets. Remember, those were like the only 2 good games he had in his entire career, was when he played against the Kings, hit a buzzer beater, against the Kings to win in overtime at like 35 or something like that. PJ Washington a couple years ago had like 42. Now PJ's a good ball player, but damn, 42. Is that what we're letting happen out here? So I agree with both of you guys. They've got to shut that water off. You know what I mean? Those guys that aren't expected to score more than 10, 12 points max, you can't let them go for 25, 26 points a night. That whenever they're playing you, that's unacceptable. That's got to stop now.
And how many times do we see a team that would come in that was missing their best player or their best players, and they would still either put up a really good fight or a lot of times win? Like, look, I know it's a next man up mentality in the NBA, and these guys are NBA players for a reason, right? I'm not trying to disrespect them, but if the Blazers come in and Dame Lillard's not playing, the Kings should not be in danger of losing that game as much as they've been in the past, right? Like, you need to handle your business. If that best player is out, fans should not react like, oh God, someone else is going to step up and win this game. Fans should be with the expectation going like, okay, we know somebody's going to step up, but we're going to handle our business. This is our game here. The advantage, ball's in our court, quite literally. And this is a problem that is not just a recent issue. Like, it happened a lot over the last couple of years to the Kings, but Jason Jones used to make a joke of it nightly over the entire time that he's covered the Kings. Like, who is going to be the guy we've never heard of, the created player on NBA 2K who comes in and drops 25 and has a career high on the Kings? Like, that used to be Jason Jones's joke. And it was real because it actually happened. And I think even Deuce Mason at one point was making it a game where he would like buy some obscure player's jersey if they had a career night, and he ended up buying a handful of jerseys. So it's been a problem here in Sacramento for a while.
Yeah, man. Christian in the chat talks about the 76ers game last year at home was the worst I've ever seen. Where
everybody sat out.
Yeah, I think Damian called them the Scranton 52ers or something like that. And they beat the Kings. They beat the Kings. And that was
Tobias Harris the only starter that played in that game, or did he not even play? I don't even remember who did.
Tyrese Maxey ended up starting, but at the time he wasn't a starter for the team. But it was him and I always want to call him Flip Johnson, but that's not his name. What's my man's name? The shooter on the Sixers.
Which one?
The shooting guard. Oh no.
Beats me.
You remember Flip? What was Flip's name? He used to play for the Sonics. And
Flip Saunders?
No, not Flip Saunders, RIP. The ball player. He played there we go. Not Melton, not Seth Curry. You guys are both on. Not Korkmaz. What's my other man's name? Jesse probably has it for me right here.
I'm looking. DeAnthony Melton?
No, it's the shooter, the black guy. Not Danny Green, Shake. Thank you.
Shake Milton.
Shake Milton. I don't know why I couldn't remember Shake's name, but it reminded me of the guy that used to play for the Sonics. His name was Flip Murray, I think it was. And his name was, there it goes, Terrence, Flip Murray. And they called him Flip because this was not okay. But they called him Flip after Bernie Mac's character in Above the Rim, where Bernie Mac played a homeless guy. and above the rim. So they called him Flip based off of that character. And he was actually a pretty good ball player. He had some good moments. But, yeah, Flip Murray, former Seattle Supersonic. That's why I don't know why that always reminds me of Shake Milton. Because, like, who did Shake get his name after? But it definitely wasn't Flip from above the rim. That's not what it was. But we talk about the Kings holding down home court. And you look at the schedule, you mentioned it a little bit. They play their 4 of their first 5 at home. Mm-hmm. There's a stretch in there where they play 6 straight in December at the crib. And they have these different little stretches, whether it's the games at home, whether it's, the games to start the season. They have the 6-game road trip where it's like Milwaukee, Detroit, Cleveland, Philly, Toronto. I think the Knicks are in there or whatever. And so many times people see these stretch of games and they go, oh, well, they'd be lucky to go 2-5 in this 7-game stretch. Or, they're playing 6 games. I mean, they'd be lucky to go 2-4. Realistically, you're looking at 1-5. And the Kings, and I'm not faulting anybody for doing that because the Kings have made that bed by being terrible for everybody's recent memory for the last 16 years. So why would you think anything else? But the Kings need to establish something a little early in this season when they have stretches like that, in my opinion, to get to the point where we're not going into a 6-game stretch saying lock down at least 3 losses for us. Lock down 4 losses. What? It's 10-game stretch that we have here. Well, you could probably put 6 to 7 losses in the book for that, and hopefully we can get 3. What? Like, they need to get, and I'm not saying the players and the coaching staff is doing that, but they need to establish this in the locker room by winning games early, by saying, hey, we've got a 6-game stretch on the road or at home or whatever the case may be. We're looking at it where 500 is worst case scenario. That's what we're expecting. 500, 6 games, 3-3. We're competitive enough. We're good enough where, let's try and go 4-2 in this. Let's try and get 5-1. But just the conceding of 4, 5 losses at a time, it's got to stop. That's got to stop.
Well, it's funny because I hear a lot of people talking about, man, this is a tough schedule for the Sacramento Kings. Man, they have this hardest strength of schedule from this point to this point, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's the Sacramento Kings. Like, the schedule is going to look hard for the Sacramento Kings until they're a good basketball team. The reality is there's only a handful of teams in the league that are worse than them. So that means the majority of games they play, or at least at this point before we have the context of actually seeing this team play together, maybe they're a lot better than we expected. Maybe they're as good as we expect. Maybe they're worse than we expect. We don't have that context. Right now, though, we're going into the context of this team has been ass for 16 years. So with that context in mind, yeah, it's a tough schedule. That's the way it's going to be. So I hear people talking about, oh, man, the Warriors 3 times in the first 12 games. Oh, man, your second home game of the season is against the Los Angeles Clippers. They're going to be amazing. Oh, man, you have these teams on back-to-back nights. It's like, yeah, like that. Welcome to the NBA. Like, that's going to be the reality. So I look at those stretches, and it's less like, hey, chalk up some losses for the Sacramento Kings here, some expected losses. Like, if you want to be Debbie Downer and go that route, I don't necessarily blame you. For me, it's if the Kings are going to accomplish the goal that they're going to accomplish right now, we're looking at this schedule and we're going, okay, they need to steal a win here. It's not give them a loss, it's steal a win. Yeah. And that's how the Kings need to get there, is at this point, steal a win. Like, I look at this roster right here, right? I see the Los Angeles Clippers and the Minnesota Timberwolves in Sacramento on Friday the 3rd, Saturday the 4th, the first weekend of March, right? I'm just using this as an example. It's literally the first one I saw. Okay, the Los Angeles Clippers at that point are, as we expect them to be at this point, that's going to be an established playoff team gearing up for a playoff run. First night of a back-to-back. Can you steal a win there? Not that's an expected loss because the Clippers are going to be damn good regardless of if you're at home or on the road. Like, can you still steal a win that night? But we might get to that night. It might be Thursday the 2nd, the night before that, and the Kings are 4 games over 500, and the Clippers are injury riddled, and suddenly it's no, that's a game you have to win. So it's all about the context of the moment. Like, I don't blame anybody for dissecting the schedule when it's out right now, because what the hell else are we going to do in the middle of August and there's nothing going on? So anybody that kind of turns their nose up at talk shows and podcasts dissecting the schedule, like, leave them alone. Like, we got to create content somewhere. But at the same time, too, we're all doing this knowing full well that context is important. And going back to your original point, Kenny, instead of going through this roster and saying, oh, Phoenix on the road on the 14th of February, that's probably a loss. Okay, here's the 6-game road trip. All right, we got to give at least 3 losses in this. There's no way the Kings are going to go over 5. Instead of doing that, it's going, okay, what are some games that the Kings can steal? And if they steal enough games, does that get them at or above 500, which I think puts the Kings in the actual playoff conversation?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And you look at, I'm not even going to the upper echelon teams like the Bostons, the Golden States, the Phoenix. I'm not going to them, but I'll go to Atlanta, Cleveland, who else? New Orleans. I don't think any of those teams and those fan bases are looking at the schedule and saying, oh man, they got a 6-game road trip. I'll probably be 1-5. Like, they're not doing that. They're like, okay, 6 game, go 3-3. Go 3. It's going to be tough. Like, it's, you're not going to sweep a 6-game road trip more times than not. Nobody's saying nothing like that, but nobody is conceding 4 or 5 losses at a time. So I'm with you. I want to see the mentality change, and I don't fault fans or anybody observing the schedule for feeling that way. It's up to these players. And I'm not even saying the players are going in thinking, oh, we're going to lose 6 on this 8-game road trip. Like, they're not saying that, but it's up to them to change that narrative, change that dynamic by going out and winning these games, man. Matt, one more thing before I get you out of here. We had a discussion earlier on Locked On Kings about the schedule, about national television game. And the line is out right now that the Kings have 5 national TV games, 1 ESPN, 4 NBA TVs. I just got the vibes. I tried to convince you a little bit, but I got the vibes that you're still not buying that. They got 1 national TV game. Is that what you're saying?
By definition, Kenny Caraway, they do have 5 national TV games by definition. By reality, or what everybody looks at, the same way ESPN3 is not a thing. Like, NBA TV is not national TV games, at least in my opinion. Like, or if it is, it's not on the same level. Like, we talked about this on the podcast. Like, to me, TNT is cream of the crop. Like, if you get a TNT game, like, that's the best you can get. And that's just me personally. No disrespect to ESPN. I know most look at them on the same level. I just like what TNT does, their broadcast crews, their pre and post game shows.
For argument's sake, I'll say ABC is the top of the top.
Okay, sure. Regardless, like, that's a tier. The Kings finally got on that tier. Granted, it's a game that a lot of people are going to go, why the hell am I watching the Kings and the Houston Rockets on a Wednesday night in January? I understand that. Maybe one of those teams, hopefully the Kings are an exciting team at that point. Maybe people are excited about it. But, like, that's a separate tier from NBA TV games, which is just taking the national or the local broadcast of whatever team and plucking that on national TV for people to watch when they normally don't get to. So, by definition, yes, it's a national TV game, but it's not on the same tier. It's not even close. Sorry, NBA TV, you're a great channel. I like your content, but you aren't on ESPN and TNT's level. I'm glad the Sacramento Kings at least got 1 on that level.
Jesse, he hits me up and he says NBA TV as a national telecast is what True TV is to the NCAA tournament.
Oof. Oof. Hey, firing shots at True TV. They got some good content on there.
I do. I think True TV is where I watch Court Cam. Have you ever seen that show?
Oh yeah, Court Cam's a great show,
crazy, bro. Court Cam.
I'll go down rabbit holes of Court Cam on YouTube, and then like it's weird because it shouldn't be as relaxing as it is. But Forensic Files used to be like a go-to wind me down, put me to sleep type show, and that's like a True TV classic. But good shout with Court Cam. I like
Court Cam is some good. They even have. I don't know if it's still on because I don't know if it lasted, but like Neighbor Watch or something like that, where basically they got these neighbors. They would take maybe they'd get the video from their Ring camera or something like that, and all these neighbor wars, like somebody parking on somebody's grass and whatever the case may be. But yeah, Neighbor Cam, Neighbor Watch, I think is the name of the show. That's the new one. That's the new one right there.
Check it out.
They're giving it to you, man. Matt George, man, I appreciate you tapping in. Big up. Matt hit me up earlier in the week, and he's like, man, if you need me anytime this week, like, let me know. Like, out of nowhere, man. And absolutely, I said, absolutely. Absolutely. I need you about an hour on Thursday, man. So I appreciate you getting in here with me, man. Appreciate you having me on your show earlier. Go check on Locked On Kings as soon as D-Lo and KC is over. And we'll see you on ABC 10 soon, man.
I appreciate that, and I'll say this really quick, Kenny. Your partner in D-Lo showed you a lot of love on Twitter earlier, and he's absolutely right. Going from where you went to where you're at now, holding down the fort, and like you were just as talented then when we first started talking, getting to know each other, that what you are now, man. So I'm proud of you, and I love what you're doing, and it's an honor, truly. Every time it is to come on with both y'all, it's an honor. But it's an honor to join you today, boss.
Man, thank you, man. We love having you on, man. Matt George, a.k.a. Matty McQueen, right here. We'll come back. I got to look. I'm about to sneak something in, too. I have an idea. I'm about to sneak something in. Nobody's home. The parents aren't home. I'm going to sneak something in real quick. I'll tell you what it is on D-Lo and KC here on ESPN 1320. Yes, sir. Appreciate you, big dog. Thank you.
Damn, that tease got me. Now I got to stick. I'll keep the show open. Now I got to know.
Man, I appreciate you tapping in, man. Thank you, bro.
Hey, have a great rest of the show, my man.
All right, man. Take care.
Later.
All right. Nah, I never threw a party. Oh, my gosh. What? Where did they go? And they left in the middle of the fight or before the fight came? Hey, that is nuts. That is hilarious. Nah, I never threw a party while my mom was gone, but I did have guests while my mom was gone. Yeah, I had guests. Like, oh yeah, I got the house. Pull up. But no, I didn't do. I'm a guy that, I like my alone time anyway. So when mom was gone, I had the house to myself. I was chilling. So. Yeah, man, I'm chilling. Russell Hunt, am I checking out any high school football this weekend? I got to get up really early to go to the Bay Area on Saturday, so I don't think so. If I did, it would be the Monterey Trail game or the Consumnes. If Oak Ridge is playing Consumnes Oaks, I hadn't heard about that one. That's a good game to go to. But hopefully this year I get to go to more college or high school football. I want to check out some Friday night lights for sure. Hopefully this year I get to go to some college football too. I'd like to get out to Sac State game. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. The way my life is set up, though, I don't know how much I'll be able to get out the house this year. To be totally honest, the way my life is set up. Jersey Shore for sure. When that came out, I said, Jersey Shore was lit. The first 2 seasons for sure that was a good look. That was a good look. And then it got a little crazy. Once the cast of Jersey Shore got like more famous, like for real famous, it got a little different because they couldn't even really go out on the shore no more. The show was just different. So, but when the first 2 seasons they filmed that, it was like, yo, probably peanuts. They probably didn't get paid nothing. Poor situation, had to go to jail at one point. Ronnie was a wild boy. Ronnie and Sammy, that was uncomfortable. Per episode. Not from the start though, huh? Wow. They eventually start getting paid though. I'd say after the 2nd season, they probably start getting paid. Hey, did you see Did you see Unk's tweet? It was, when you see it, it's like, what? How long ago? It's not okay, Ron. One day, I don't even think some of the things we talk about are going to be in our tell-all book about D-Lo and KC. You know, one day when we have our tell-all book, we're not even going to talk about it then. Just some funny stuff we're going to take it to the grave. I told you guys back here on D-Lo and KC, Kenny Caraway, riding solo. I got Drake Yu coming up in about, I don't know what is that. I'm not good at math. Probably about 30 minutes or so. 3:17, he's going to pull up on me. And I told you guys, I said, you know what? I'm here by myself. I'm looking around. I don't see anybody. The house is to myself. Damien is still on vacation. James is out. I don't even know if PDX is listening. Danny in San Francisco, he taps in every now and then. I doubt that he's listening right now. Home alone. So this is what I'm going to do. Jesse, we got a live 13th round right here on D-Lo and KC. We're doing it. We are doing it. And I have to bring it up because, first of all, before I answer anything, I want to know what the chat has to say. How many in the chat know who Alexander Usyk and Anthony Joshua are? I think we're going to get more no's than yes, to be honest with you. What you think, Jesse? They definitely don't know who Usyk is. Yeah. Right. Well, either way, they're fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world on Saturday. Like this is inexcusable, right? This is inexcusable that the heavyweight championship of the world, and this is Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is going to have an opportunity to try to win back his heavyweight titles. And they fight Saturday. And I can guarantee you, a lot of people barely even know what's going on. Come on, man. For people in the chat, Jesse said, and Jesse follows boxing. Jesse watches boxing. We talk boxing all the time. He didn't know the fight was happening until just now. How is this possible? I'm blaming Eddie Hearn. I'm blaming DAZN. I'm blaming this because this can't happen. You got the heavyweight championship of the world on the line. A guy in Anthony Joshua, who is one of the biggest stars in your sports, trying to get revenge and get his title back. And nobody knows. One of the reasons why nobody knows is because this fight is happening in Dubai. I know they're trying to chase the bag. I get it. I know why it happened. When I say why, I know why. Okay, I know the actual reason why. But why? Why are you going to Dubai when you have Anthony Joshua? You can still do it in the UK. That's what they always say. He's packing 80,000 in the UK, and the UK fans are so crazy. Just put it back in the UK. Why are we going to Dubai for Joshua and Usyk? Once again, they're getting the bag. I know the reason why, the actual reason why, but you can't tell me that hasn't hurt the promotion of this fight. And the fact that a large segment of the sports public, the sports fans, they don't even know this fight's happening. They have no idea. Mm-hmm. It's inexcusable. It really is. It's inexcusable. And I know about it now. Like I knew, okay, August 20th or whatever. But to be honest with you, I didn't even I knew the fight was happening, but I wasn't even like, oh, it's fight week until like mid last week when I was like, damn, that fight is on Saturday? How does that happen? Well, Jesse asked the question, is this Joshua's first fight since the Larry Hoover clip? And for those who don't know, Anthony Joshua, to answer your question, Jesse, I think it is. I think he said he had to get back, to indoctrinate his style. I think it was after his loss to Usyk. And for those who don't know, here is the classic. Anthony Joshua, after losing to Alexander Usyk last fight, and what he needs to do to get back.
Isolating the sweet science of the sport, doctrinating my style. But we're going back to the raw, rugged streets. That's where I belong. I never followed no athletes growing up, no movie stars. I followed the hustlers, the Rayful Edmonds, the Jeff Ports, the Nicky Barnes, the Big Meaches, the Larry Hoovers. You understand me? They're the people that gave me that inspiration, the ones that came up from the streets to the top of the world, the empires, the bangers, the hustlers.
Man, I gotta tweet out the video. Y'all gotta see the video because his eyes are just glazed over, like he's in a trance. And as somebody once said when I first saw that clip, it's like, what is this guy auditioning for Paid in Full 3? Like, what's going on here? So Anthony Joshua, who, to be honest with you, I really do like Anthony Joshua. Like, I like him as a fighter in the game right now. I've heard a number of different interviews with Anthony Joshua. He seems like a real dude. Real dude. He's a good dude. I like Anthony Joshua. I'm hoping that he can beat Usyk and get his belts back. The thing about it is, I don't know if he can. When Usyk beat him, and it was pretty convincing, it wasn't like some people had it a little closer than maybe I did. They thought it was like maybe 7 rounds to 5 for Usyk or 8-4 or whatever. I think I might have had it like 10 rounds to 2. I thought Usyk dominated that fight, and he just outboxed him. And AJ was never this great boxer. He's a physical specimen. He's a good fighter. I don't want to make it like he's a bum or nothing like that. He's a good fighter. But he was never this super knockout artist. He was never this great boxer. Like he was. The idea of Anthony Joshua is a little better than what he actually is, in my opinion. But Usyk outboxed him, and to be honest with you, I don't know if AJ can turn that around. I really don't. I think he kind of is who he is. He's like, I want to say, he's been fighting as long as he's been fighting. I don't think he's as old as like 30 something. He might be in his mid to late 20s, but he's not gonna pull a Klitschko when Emmanuel Stewart had him and Klitschko was getting knocked out, and all of a sudden Emmanuel Stewart had him fighting behind his jab and he was this great boxer after that. Like, that's not what's gonna happen with AJ. I don't think so. Right, exactly. And he's not the type of guy where every fight you can count on him just taking somebody out. At least a top level guy, a high level guy. He doesn't have that kind of power. He's not ferocious in that sense where, he's going to take you out in one punch like a Wilder or anything like that. But Jesse, we're saying that, and we are not taking into account that he's getting back to that real raw.
Isolating the sweet science of the sport, doctrinating my style. But we're going back to the raw, rugged streets. That's where I belong. I never followed no athletes growing up, no movie stars. I followed the hustlers, the Rayful Edmonds, the Jeff Ports, the Nicky Barnes, the Big Meaches, the Larry Hoovers. You understand me? They're the people that gave me that inspiration, the ones that came up from the streets to the top of the world, the empires, the bangers, the hustlers.
They're all under control. So we talk about, Anthony Joshua don't have the, that power. We're not taking into the fact that he's getting back to that real rugged raw. You know what I mean? We're not taking that into account. So Anthony Joshua, this was an extended version of the 13th round. Usually the 13th round is for like 2 minutes, so I can get it on Twitter or whatever. We're not getting this whole segment on Twitter. It will be on YouTube though. You can check it out there. And Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk, this Saturday, it's going to be on DAZN, and that's, All right, whatever. I could go a whole nother segment about what the hell Eddie Hearn and the Zone is doing. The Zone, great concept. Great concept. I love what it's supposed to be. But the people running it have no idea what they're doing, and it's a mess. And that's part of the reason nobody even knew this fight was happening right now, because it's Eddie Hearn, Matt. It's just it's a train wreck. It really is. It's a waste. Like my man Leonard Ellaby said about Eddie Hearn. How do you go through $1 billion? How do you got $1 billion budget and you just blow through it to the point where they're like, hey, we need some of that money. We're not seeing a return. It's embarrassing. It's a joke. But Usyk versus Joshua this Saturday. You know what? I'm a root for Joshua. I'm gonna pick Joshua to win. This would be an upset special. I'm picking Joshua to win. And the other thing about that, now that Tyson Fury's out of the way, and I hope he stays retired. Nobody wants to see Tyson Fury fight ever again. I mean that. Tyson Fury can never come back and we'd be perfectly fine. We don't need Tyson Fury back in boxing at all. If anything, he's boring and bad for boxing. We don't need Tyson Fury. He's a great fighter. Don't get it twisted. I'm not a hater. I'm not saying he's some type of scrub. He's the best fighter in the world right now, but nobody wants to see him. He's boring, sloppy, nasty. Nobody wants to see that. So now that we got him out the way, hopefully Anthony Joshua could win. He's probably got to do a trilogy with Usyk, but if he can hold on to his belts, then maybe that opens the door up for Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. The fact that the fight that we were trying to see for the last 5-6 years, it's definitely tarnished because Wilder's not the champ and he lost 2 fights, got knocked out twice. It's not the same. But Jesse, I think you would agree with me. Joshua Wilder still does numbers. That's a fight right there. That's what we want to see. So hopefully Joshua wins, beats Usyk twice, and then we can see Joshua Wilder. That's the plan. And yeah, that was the 13th round live. It was live. The 13th round was live. Look, just to mess with Damien again.
Isolating the sweet science of the sport, doctrinating my style.
Before you do, you're listening to ESPN 1320 KIFM West Sacramento, KRXQ HD2 Sacramento, an Odyssey station and driven by last year's Elk Grove Dodge. Kenny Caraway by myself today, although I got Jesse getting in here with me every now and then. And yeah, on this Thursday, it's trying to stay cool out here. What's your King's question, Jesse? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I do hear what you're saying. I think that you have a full season of Fox and Sabonis. And to me personally, I think that adds 4 to 5 wins. And you consider what happened, like that 30 win total. I think a lot of that had to do with the circumstance. They were in just a terrible circumstance. Remember, Fox, he missed, I don't know off the top of my head, but he probably missed close to 20 games last year. 8 of them, if you ask me, he said, hey, I'm sick of this, man. My ankle hurts. You know what I mean? And look, I'm not even saying that to blame him or put him in any kind of bad light. But 8 of them, Fox was like, I'm tired of this. I'm not doing nothing till y'all change what's going on. So I think that had to do with some of it. Then he actually got hurt towards the end of the season. But if you have Fox for 75 games and you got Sabonis for another 70 to 75 games, I think that alone adds 4 to 5 wins. And now you get Mike Brown in there. You get Malik Monk. You get Kevin Huerter. If Davion does anything, I'm not really expecting like this huge jump from Davion, but if he's a more efficient version of what he was last year, you got Keegan Murray. I mean, 30 wins. I mean, come on, 7 to 8 wins. 7 to 8 wins. They didn't get that. can understand that. I get that. Man, and that's why I asked James yesterday, and we'll talk to him about it tomorrow. And, maybe I'll even talk to Drake Yu, who's coming up in about 14 minutes or so. There's a lot of pressure on De'Aaron Fox. There is a lot of pressure on De'Aaron Fox coming into this season. And is he ready for it? I like to think he is. I hope he is. But, Jesse just talked about, he's got to be 25-7. Man, it's a hell of a season. 25-7. That is an all-star season. If they get 30, if they get 38 wins, and that puts them at the 9, that would give them a home game for the play-in and giving them opportunity. I mean, they'd still have to win 2 games to get in, but like the Pelicans did last year. And the Pelicans, they were dealing with a lot of injuries. They started 1-13 and all this other stuff. So I think they won like 36 games last year and were able to get in. And I mean, to be realistic, if we're being honest, they shouldn't have beat the Clippers in that situation. The Clippers should have won that game. So I hear you. If they make a move, if they got, I don't know what, to me, that move would be something like trading Harrison Barnes to get Tobias Harris. Is that enough, in your opinion, to get them to that 40, 41, 42 win total? I hear you. I feel you. Hey, we're going to talk a lot of basketball with Drake Yu coming up, like I said, in about 15, 20 minutes. But I wanted to ask the Chatty House this. I wanted to ask you this, Jesse, as well. I don't even feel right always saying this name. I really don't. So I'm not even BS Sports. All right. You know what I'm talking about, Jesse. I don't even feel like saying her name. I don't feel comfortable saying her name all the time. But when they're not catfishing ESPN with these fake stories, they actually have some interesting things. And they brought up a question that I thought was pretty. They brought up 2. I don't know if we're getting to the second one. I don't even know if I want to put that in the atmosphere. But there's one. We might get to it. This first one, though, I definitely want to ask. And they said, if you only saw players' highlights and nothing else, who do you think would be considered the greatest of all time? We can go down a number of sports or any sport or whatever the case may be. But think about that in basketball right now. If you only saw a certain player's highlights, who would you think was the greatest of all time? The first guy that comes to mind for me is Vince Carter. Yeah, so but like you see that and you're like, well, how did anybody stop this guy? This is true too. Kevin Durant. And I mean, look, isn't it still possibly LeBron? Because LeBron's highlights are crazy. Rob W says Michael Jordan is probably still up there. Yeah. I think basketball, it works. It's about the same. Nah, MJ's is crazy. You are sounding slanderous right now. MJ's is crazy. True. But he was like he was like the first one to do like reverse jelly layups, man. Like it was crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, him or LeBron. Ironically, I don't think you'd say Kobe. And Kobe was great, but I don't think you'd say Kobe. Would you say Shaq, maybe? Because you're like, damn, how does anybody do anything with this guy? This guy's a monster. Yeah. In other sports, you guys came up with some good ones. BJ in the chat says NFL Randy Moss. That's a good one. Yeah, Jesse says Barry Sanders. That's a good one as well. You know, and this, Jesse, I know you've heard me bring this guy up a couple of different times. I don't know if you really watched him, and maybe you just had to be there. But Peter Warrick, Peter Warrick at Florida State was so nasty. Oh my gosh, Peter Warrick was sick. And now that I talk about highlights in college, I mean, Reggie Bush has to be in there too. Reggie Bush was a phenom. Wow. Man, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at that take, man. And for the people on the stream, you know, I'm just moving along. I know that you guys can't hear Jesse or anything like that, but he just said Reggie Bush might be the greatest. USC Reggie Bush might be the greatest college athlete we've ever seen. And you put his highlight tape up there. That might be he might be looked at as a GOAT. He might be looked at. And that's kind of spot on. Like his highlight tape was crazy. Michael Vick, college and pros. It's like, damn, how do you stop that guy? Like this quarterback is running past our DBs. Like, what do I do with him? Michael Vick might be up there. My man Pino, where's it at? He put up a great one. There it is. If you're talking boxing, it might be Roy Jones. Roy Jones boxing highlight tape. Oh man, he has this move against James Toney in the James Toney fight, where he I think it's a feint, like that's the technical boxing term for it. But it was like he came out and he was like rolling his arms a little bit, and then he opened them up and it was like almost like a hezzy. He almost gave him a hezzy, and it like froze James, and then James froze and leaned back and bit on the hezzy, and then Roy just comes with a left hook, right hook, all this. It was one of the sickest things I've ever seen. Jesse, when you get a chance, look. You know what I'm talking about? Have you seen it? Nah. Just Google or YouTube Roy Jones, James Toney, and that's going to be like the first highlight. It was, for a long time, it was the sickest thing I'd ever seen in boxing. I think in boxing, here we go, another 13th round here. This is a 13th round segment. In boxing, Roy Jones might have it. Roy Jones is sick. Oh yeah, Tito Trinidad was as a legend to watch him fight. I'm one of the people who, like, I may be in the minority. I loved watching Floyd fight. Like, I loved his dominance. I loved his tactical style. I loved watching Floyd fight. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. You know, we talked about like craziest sports moments, and yesterday with James Ham and Sean Cunningham and things of that nature. And before they went dark on us, we were talking about actual like sporting events. And it's not the top, it's not the craziest or whatever the case may be, but Sean talked about how he was in Vegas when Tyson bit Holyfield's ear. I was in the building. I was in the arena for Floyd and Victor Ortiz. Protect yourself at all times. That was nuts to watch in real time. Victor was supposed to be the next Golden Boy, man. And Victor had skills. He didn't have what it took to be a top flight champion. But Floyd was giving him a boxing lesson. Victor Ortiz just lost it and just tried to drive the crown of his head into Floyd's mouth. And he's like, "Oh, sorry, bro. Sorry." Floyd was like, "All right, cool." And then he came back in, sorry. And Floyd just two-pieced him while Victor came in for the hug and the kiss. I was in there for that moment. That was crazy to see. And then we couldn't hear in the stadium because one of the things, maybe it's better nowadays, but when you're at those fights, it's hard to hear the post-fight press conference in the ring. So there was like so many boos going on, and Floyd was getting booed and all this other stuff. I didn't hear the Larry Merchant stuff. I just saw it. Like I saw what was going on, but I didn't know what was said until like later that night when everything was going on. And yeah, when he said you don't know S about boxing, you know what I mean? The HBO should have fired you a long time ago. That was a classic moment. You wouldn't do blank. Yeah, man. So yeah, like I said, everybody's away, everybody's gone. 13th round segment here. So we got my main man Drake Yu coming up in the next segment. We're going to get back to Kings. We're going to talk a little basketball just in general. We have a good time, man. It's right here. It's your main man Kenny Caraway on D-Lo and KC, ESPN 1320. Cool. I'm going to slide for just a second. I'll be right back. I'll be right back, guys. Don't mind me. Guess I should put an overlay up. Matter of fact, we don't do that here. You're just going to see me gone. All right. I'm back. Hey, Jesse, if I didn't get back in time, what would you do? I thought about that like all week because I was like, well, James wouldn't be able to hear if we were back on. Like, how would that work? So there goes. Yeah, he would already been potted up. There he is. There's my guy.
What up?
What's up, big dog?
How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm out here just trying to make it. Hold on. We about to come back on just a second. I'll let you know when we come back on.
Cool.
We got about a minute, man. We got about a minute. So yeah, man, we like I said in the text, we talking Kings and just NBA. I get an opportunity to just talk NBA with my guy.
Heck yeah, man. It's
NBA, man.
Always special.
How's the baby doing, man?
Good, bro. We actually just got back from Orange County today.
Okay.
Visiting some family, and dude, he literally just started walking like last week, so it's been a trip. Like, I mean, you know how it is. Every milestone is special. So
absolutely.
It's been cool. We got to get back in, and I know we talk about this every time we talk, but we got to hit the gym one time.
Man, we have to, man. And I got a couple couple gyms that I got access to now, man. So
sweet.
Going out to the south side, man, and come rock with me.
Hell yeah, I'm down.
I got these bad calves though, man. I can't never get these. I gotta go see a doctor, man, because anytime I like extend and do a whole lot, here calves start pulling at me, man. I'm like,
man, yeah, it's scary. I hear you on that.
And then the calf is right there where that Achilles.
You already know. I'm having the same issues. It's just straight lines and threes for me.
That's it, man. And you know what the story is? Going up and down the court. Like I think I could do. Oh, hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
D-Lo and KC here on ESPN 1320. KC and friends today. I told you what it is, man. KC and friends, because Damien's still out, James is out. It was just me. No. It's KC and friends, and one of my great friends in this whole business that I've met in this whole industry, man. And since I've got more into the sports media and talking to different guys, my main man Drake he's on the show with me right now, man. And we text and tweet and just talk hoop all the time, man. He'd be cracking me up with some of the. I got something for him that he don't even know nothing about, and I just. I know you're gonna say that. I know. But Greg, you on the phone with me right now. We were just talking about like old man stuff. Well, at least I'm old. Drake is young. I'm still old. We're talking about playing, and Drake, I was like, I got bad calves. The calves keep bothering me, and the biggest thing about it, Drake, is this whole like full court up and down thing. No, that's a no. I'm strictly big three. Okay. That's what I need to do. Big three. Put me in the half court. That's what it is right there.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, the hardest part, somebody told me when I was just getting done playing, the moment you get out of shape is the moment you start getting hurt. And so I just try to do my best, don't get too out of shape to where that's when all the injuries start coming. You start trying to tap into your old bag that you used to have, and all of a sudden it's like, I can't. This is when I start pulling things.
I tell people all the time, like if I'm like a car and I got 5 gears, I'll never go past third gear. Never go past third.
There's no need to at our age. Yeah.
No.
We try to impress.
Man. I'm not doing that at all, man. So but we do have to get out on the court, man. Even if just shooting around, man, and shooting the breeze, we got to get out there. But last time we had you on, Drake, it was draft day. And I can't remember exactly what you said about draft day. I think you said go Jaden Ivey, but there's a part of me that said, I think you said you maybe would have went Jaden Ivey or you would have traded it. But I think you said, I think they're going to take Keegan. Like, I think that's the move. And I know myself, Damien, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think we were all kind of a little underwhelmed with Keegan. We were like he's cool, but man, I kind of want you to do something else. If it's not Ivy, like if it's not Shaden Sharp for me, like trade the pick, get a vet or whatever. And then Summer League came, and this dude Keegan Murray like didn't miss, and he I think he's the real deal, man. What do you think about Keegan Murray after seeing him in Summer League and just seeing his game on a different level?
Well, yeah, for the record, I wasn't a big Jaden Ivey fan the day of the draft. I remember we kind of went into this, and I was like, the more I watched him today, I'm like, I'm not sure. I started doing a little more homework, and yeah, I thought they were going to take Keegan, and to me, that was like the safe, low-hanging fruit. Very safe, similar like a Harrison Barnes type of player. And I was really hoping they'd swing for the fences and, like you just said, like trade the pick, try and get some like established vets. I love like the rumblings about the Atlanta deal. I was like, if we can get Herter and Collins over in a swap, I was like all for that. And then here we are, like we got a great pick in Keegan, and we got Herter as well, which I'm like really been impressed with. The Kings off season. I feel like they've definitely added talent. They've added combination of like youth and veterans that I feel like can mesh well together. Obviously, there's like a new coaching staff coming in, and so I think it'll be really interesting to see this year. Where they kind of stack relative to the rest of the West. But Keegan, I was so impressed. I mean, I even went out to summer league for a couple of days, and I got like such a Tyrese Halliburton vibe from him. Just his poise, just his, nothing flashy, but just rarely makes mistakes. Has this like quiet confidence to him, and yeah, again, like Kings make another great draft pick, and I jokingly on Twitter was like, bro, I've seen enough. This is going to be the rookie of the year. If he gets the same opportunity as, a Paolo or a Chet, I feel like he's going to be a really good player for years to come. So really impressed with Keegan.
Man, you've been around the game your entire life, and then you did it on a professional level, playing and scouting, right? So seeing Keegan play in summer league, what makes you say, no, this is the real deal, it's transferable, it's not just him playing against summer league competition? Because we see that a lot too. These guys, they can ball out in summer league, and people are like, it's just summer league, don't trip. And then they have a hard time in the league or hard time making a roster and all this other stuff. Like, what about his game kind of erases any of those doubts to how it can transfer in a regular NBA setting?
Yeah, I've always found summer league to actually be a pretty good indicator early on of like young players' success. I feel like guys that have the ability to like really make a splash their first couple of games of summer league, and just the difference in spacing, the difference in what you can do with less. I feel like some of these guys are coming over, put up big numbers in college, and then they get to summer league, and all of a sudden they're not getting the same touches, they're not getting the same looks, they don't have the same green light that they had coming from their college program. And so summer league is like that first kind of peek behind the curtain to see like, okay, is this guy going to be able to actually maybe contribute right away, or is he a little farther away than we might have thought? And so with Keegan, the things that I loved were his confidence, his poise. He wasn't shy. I thought that, from the very first game in the Bay Area, I felt like he was hunting for shots. I think the things that like stuck out to me as far as like what's going to translate right away is his shot making ability. I thought that he was actually like really obviously had great touch around the rim. Like all of these, he's got great touch, I think, as a player, but he also had some like ability to create his own shot, like come off screens, put the ball on the deck a little bit, get to his spots and rise up. And to me, I was just like more impressed with it. He had a little more to his game, especially off the floor, than I even realized watching some of his college game. And so to me, like the skill set, along with his IQ, I think those are things that are going to translate right away. Obviously, he can shoot, dribble, and pass, but he has size. He understands who he is. And again, that goes with his maturity, I think, as a person and as a player. Guys that like really know what works for them and what doesn't, they tend to have a better ability to contribute earlier at the next level. So all those things I feel like are really encouraging, should be encouraging for Kings fans.
Yeah, you know what, Drake, I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to put the car. I think you understand what I'm saying when I say this, and I think people understand what I'm saying when I say this. I'm not saying he's going to be a 5-time NBA champion, but damn if he didn't remind me of Tim Duncan out there. What just his demeanor, and this guy was like killing in summer league, and he barely pumped his fist one time, right? Like totally. Nobody could guard him, and he was able to still stay within the moment. And it was like it was nothing. Like this guy was hitting step backs, he was doing, and it reminded me demeanor wise,
totally,
what Tim Duncan was able to do out there.
Yeah, I love that comp. I feel like he's got the same type of swag too. Like he strikes me as the dude that's going to walk into an NBA facility. He's not going for all the Instagram clout. He's showing up in his tall tee and long jean shorts. Doesn't really he embraces who he is, and I love that about him. Exactly.
Yeah, my main man Drake, you in here, professional scout on the pro and college level here on D-Lo and KC. The one thing I will say about Keegan that I'm not really seeing that some people are seeing is I think he's a 4. I think he's a stretch 4. That's where he's at. A lot of people are saying that he could play the 3. I've heard a lot of people talking about like he could be like Chris Middleton. And while he is better at shot creating than I probably gave him credit for coming into the summer, I don't think he's there with the handle. I don't think he's there with being able to get things off the bounce. And then when you talk about defensively, I'd have a hard time believing he could keep up with small forwards in this league. So I really wouldn't want to experiment with putting him at the 3 too often. But there are some people that think like, hey, he could play the 3 in this league. Do you see that from him at all?
Yeah, I think it was Jordy at some point in summer league is like, let's just embrace his game right now and like worry about what he can become as he just continues to get comfortable in this league. And I feel like I'm with you. I feel like right now he's naturally a 4. I think that's where he's most comfortable. I think that if you look at 4s in today's league, having that stretchability and then like his potential playmaking ability and ability to put on the floor, like those are all kind of bonuses for me. I think like his natural position's a 4 right now. And, as his game develops, as his confidence develops and he starts figuring out this league a little more, like I definitely could see him transitioning into more of a 3. And to be fair, I think Chris Middleton could be a good comp, but for where he's at right now, I think you just kind of embrace him. You put him in positions to succeed and kind of figure out what works for him and what doesn't at this level. And then down the road, I think, I might have been a little hesitant to like say I was on draft night. I thought he had like a very high floor, low ceiling. But I do think that like the upside with him is maybe he has some ability to slide over to the 3 more. You can play him with like some bigger lineups, or maybe he is, as he again matures and grows more confidence, maybe he is a guy that becomes like a ISO 3-man. Maybe, I don't know, but I would just kind of continue to embrace what he can do right now and then develop him and see how it goes down the line.
The thing that I like about his game is it's so easily transferable. Like I know you'll understand what I'm saying. He doesn't need the ball to score easily, if that makes sense, right? Like you can pick and pop. Oh, I'm going to hit Keegan. He's going to cash out. Oh, they closed out hard, 1 dribble, pump fake, 1 dribble, get to the cup. Like you don't need any ISO opportunities. You don't need to really run any plays for him. Like he finds his way into the offense and to be able to get buckets pretty seamlessly. And you talk about De'Aaron Fox and what he could create there and Sabonis and his passing ability. Almost feels like it's tailor-made. And I can see now why Monty McNair and these guys were like, no, Keegan, that's the pick. I see it.
Yeah, the other thing I didn't even touch on, and to your point, he was such a good mover without the ball. I thought he made like some great cuts, and cutting is like an underrated skill. And like guys that can actually like read off of their teammates, read off of their defenders. Their defender turns his head for a sec, he's backdoor. Like he had great feel for the timing of the cut, and just how to kind of find gaps. I think was actually, again, it speaks more to like his basketball IQ. But to your point, like he doesn't need touches. Like he'll find ways to get involved. He'll crash offensive glass. He'll do all these little things that I think are just like really appealing for me as I look at especially young guys that just know how to play. That's why I would always tell young guys, even like whether they're G League or overseas guys or college guys, like find little ways that you can contribute. Especially, you're not going to get that same leash that you had in college right away. Like grow into that role, find out what you can like do all the little things. And I think that like Keegan he's super talented, but like him doing those little things and the dirty work early is not only going to gain respect from his teammates, but he'll find different ways to contribute. And I think day one.
Yeah. And the thing that I really liked about it over the summer is he was able to do all this as the number 1 option. When he comes, at least this year, when he comes to this team, he's not going to be the number 1 option. Like there's gifts and curse to that. Like, yeah, you may not get as many shots, but you're also not going to get the attention of the other team defense. So you're going to be able to pick and choose your spots and get a bunch more wide open looks. And because of that, I think he's going to cash out a lot of the times.
No, agreed.
Yeah. You and we've got my man Drake UU here on D and KC. James is out, Damien's out. They'll be back soon. So it's KC and friends today, and this is my guy Drake UU right here. Talking about the other things that the Kings were able to do this offseason. getting Malik Monk, getting Kevin Huerter. You talked about how much you like Kevin Huerter, and I like him too, a.k.a. Kayvon, as they like to call it. That's why I like Kayvon.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah, they talk about Red. Like,
no. He got the Kayvon check mark from his teammates in Atlanta. I said, that's the one we're going with.
We're going with Kayvon. But and I love what he brings to the table. But I was really big on Malik Monk out of Kentucky, and I like what I saw from the Lakers when the Kings were able to make that move. I don't know, man. I feel like, I'm not saying anybody thinks it's a bad deal. Like, people have been positive about it, but I still kind of feel like people are selling Malik short a little bit about what he can do and what he can contribute. I think he's poised to have a huge season this year. And I'm not saying like MVP or nothing like that, but here's a scenario I continue to see play out with Sacramento, and it's the gift and the curse. It's a double-edged sword, right? I think he's going to ball here in Sacramento. I think Monk is going to really hoop in his time here in Sacramento. And you only have him 2 years, and you're going to be put in a situation where it's like, damn, I wish you would have signed him to a 3-year deal, because now we got to pay him big time now. We can't lose him. Like, I think that's the way it's going to play. But I think he's going to play that good here in Sacramento. I think Malik is a little better all-around ball player than people kind of give him credit for.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think with him, to me, the issue, I mean, his career has just been really inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that him kind of getting a chance to play in LA and like almost have it as an audition year to really show, hey, I still have a ton of upside. I'm young. I can actually shoot a lot better than I have during my time in Charlotte. So this again is like kind of he has everything going for him to make that splash that I think you're talking about, and all the talent in the world. I think talent's never been the issue, but for him, it's always been about kind of the consistency factor. And for me, this is like he's got a clean slate, and he can do it with his boy Fox. I think that like sometimes change of scenery and, a little more leash and runway for you. And he's he's older now. And so I think that like, he's no longer a 20-year-old rookie or second-year guy who's trying to figure it out. Like, he's been around the block a little bit. He's still young. But his talent level, I think, is like super special. And so for the Kings to be able to kind of like, if they do get into the situation where they realize they have to pay him, I mean, I'd rather have that issue than not have him on the roster at all. And you're then overpaying to get somebody on board. So I feel like I'm excited about not only like, I thought that was like a low risk, high upside type move. And I'm looking forward to kind of seeing how all these pieces kind of work together.
You talked about him and Fox getting reunited, and everybody knows, how close they are, how good of friends they are. And man, what those two did at Kentucky, like you from the same era that I am, that felt like some late 90s, the way they were playing. Like, we don't really see tandems like that in college basketball today. And the way they did it, I was like, yo, these guys are highlight reel. How much do you think that's going to help both players? I think Malik is going to do what he does, and he's going to feel comfortable here. Do you think that's going to possibly help Fox and kind of get him, maybe somebody that, he can relate to, he's been friends with a long time, to kind of put that battery in his pack on a nightly basis?
Totally. I feel like it could give them both new energy. And, from De'Aaron's standpoint, I mean, why not put them together with someone that he has familiarity with? They have a friendship. Like, I do believe that, sometimes you put guys that are friends together on the same roster, and they're all of a sudden they're like motivation. They have more fun together. Like, Kings had nothing to lose in this acquisition. And I feel like if they could somehow not only like get a legitimate shooting guard piece, but also someone that's going to help motivate their star, their franchise. That's like a huge win. And so, I think that like both of them have like every chance to figure it out together this year. And hopefully they're able to.
Yeah. Drake Yu, professional and collegiate scout, here joining me on D-Lo and Casey today. I got a couple more questions for you, Drake. What do you think this team can do? like we've had this discussion a lot, and some people think like they've got to do a little bit more to like get into the playoffs. Some people, I think, I know 16 years. I know the Kings organization. I know all this other stuff. I know everything's there. I think with the additions on the free agent and the trade market, Keegan Murray, Mike Brown, a level of stability at that head coaching spot that they haven't had. They definitely didn't have last year. I think all those things considered, I think they absolutely, I'd be highly disappointed if they weren't at least a play-in team. And I think if things go right, you could talk about a team that might make a Minnesota move and be a 6 seed or something like that. But where do you see this team being? Like, now I expect them to be in the play-in. Expect like that'd be a failure if they're not. I don't hope. I expect them to be there. Where do you expect this team to finish? And do you think they need more? Or are they kind of good as is?
It's so hard. That's a great question. It feels like while you have like some pieces that have been here, you also have like this influx of new talent which I haven't seen play together yet. So on paper, it's hard because like I've seen teams that we've had on paper in previous years, and I'm like, I expect them to be at least the 8th seed. And so there does seem to be like a shifting of like some stability, and but where would I expect them? Somewhere in that 10 to 12 range.
Yeah, they need to
where
be.
We've been.
They need to be.
I agree. I completely agree.
They shouldn't be 5. Like they shouldn't be one of the bottom 5 teams in the West.
Sure.
Yeah.
I completely agree. There's been years where I'm like, we should never be a bottom 5. Like we're trying to build towards something, and all of a sudden it doesn't end up the way you think. But I think talent-wise, it's interesting because I was going through this with some of my buddies, and you look at like bottom 5 last year: Sacramento, Lakers, Portland, OKC, Houston. I think OKC got a little better. They have some interesting young pieces, and I think Lakers get a little better. And then you look at like the guys that I think probably fall out of that top 10, probably San Antonio and probably Utah. And I think everyone else kind of in that realm sticks. And so I think that's 8 teams that I would assume are back in that top 8 mix, and with 2 spots available. And I'm assuming I would put Sacramento and the Lakers kind of replacing maybe a Utah and a San Antonio who are rebuilding.
I thought Portland in there too in the mix for it. Portland.
With who? Portland, and Portland. It's Dame's back. So it'll be interesting. Like I think between those 3 teams, I would assume the remaining teams in the West either hold where they're at, but I would expect everyone in here to kind of be in that top 10 realm. I think you have 11 teams kind of positioning for that. I think Sac's right at that, like 8 to 11.
Take
right
that.
now.
Yeah.
So, and I can see them like surprising some people, and new coaching staff, it's almost like a fresh start. I think that like the energy around the team seems to be getting, the excitement around the team seems to be building. And so hopefully they can build some chemistry and catch some teams by surprise like we did a couple of years ago early. And then all of a sudden they get some momentum, some confidence, and they're able to kind of like play into that 8 to 10 realm and stay.
You know, there's a lot of one thing that I was thinking about over the week when we talk about this, and everybody says the same thing, and they're right. They're 100% correct. Like, man, it's on De'Aaron Fox. It's what Fox is going to show up. Is he going to be consistent? Is he going to be healthy enough to play 75 games? Is he, going to not have these up and downs in the season? Is he going to be a consistent 22, 23 a night guy? And I think that's 100% the story. The thing about it is, do you think that's too much pressure on him? Is it too much to be like, yo, this team is only like, you got to do 22-7 for us to be successful? You think that's too much pressure on him?
No. I have a hard time saying, there's too much pressure for a guy making 30 mil.
I hear you.
It comes with the territory, and pressure is not, it's hooping. Like, these guys, this is what you get paid for. And to me, that's where the frustration comes in at times when you have a guy that, you know, you believe in and you want to be a franchise guy, and like he's not necessarily getting you over the hump. And so I don't think he has pressure. And one thing I think that will help, I think this year he has help. I think he has the most help he's had in a couple of years. And hopefully, you know, he's able to stay healthy. He's able to come into training camp fit and, you know, with something to prove. I think that like he should, because at some point the organization, it falls on him, and this is his team. And so that's the nature of, that's what comes with you being the franchise player. So I don't think I don't think it's like too much pressure for him. I think this is, and to be honest, like De'Aaron performs best when his back is against the wall, when he has, when he feels like he has something to prove. And he's always been that way. Like when something is like, appears extremely challenging to him is, I think, when you get the best Fox. And so I'm hoping that, and then, yeah, like we talked about earlier, he gets like some familiar faces around him, some coaches that can maybe connect with, some new coaches they can connect with. And so I don't think it's too much pressure at all.
I like that. On the flip side to that as well, though, when people say it's all on Fox, and like I said, I feel the same way. I mean, that's the guy right now. For some people, for better or for worse, that's the guy. You better hope he figures it out if you want this franchise to be successful. So I agree with you 100%. At the same time, I look at the center position, and I'm like, damn, we just be sleeping on Domantas Sabonis. This dude is 19 and 12 and 6. And we just acting like, oh man, well, it's kind of all they got is De'Aaron Fox. Like, what? Domantas Sabonis is that he could, I think he could have a huge season this year too.
Agreed. And you know what? Like, that's a great point. While it is De'Aaron's team because he's been here and you know, giving him all that money, Sabonis to me might be the most consistent staple that the Kings have right now. Just having that like ultra reliable big who produces night in, night out, ultra durable. That's like something, that's a great piece for De'Aaron to like we just talked about, maybe take some pressure off. He's got shooters that he can, I mean, not to say he hadn't had shooters, but he's got guys with feel and that can really stretch the floor for him. And you've added to, like last year, they really struggled to find guys that could actually make shots. And with De'Aaron, like, to me, I think of his best year is that 18-19 year where we're getting up and down and he's playing with pace and space, or like having Bogey and Buddy had like great years. Iman was shooting the ball well. Like we were just running, and he had the ability to just basically run teams out the gym. That's when he's able to be at his best. And so I feel like we're getting some more of that this year, but with like Sabonis, basically. I mean, that's a great piece.
Drake, you professional and collegiate scout. He's bringing down the home stretch for me real quick. I got a couple of questions because I said we're going to talk about just basketball in general, NBA in general. I want to pick your brains on a couple of things. It's going to be a bit of a segue because my son actually, who's like now like getting into like hoop and the NBA and all this other stuff, he watches all these videos on YouTube about all these NBA players, right? He's 9. And he asked me the simplest question the other day, and it kind of had me a little stuck. He said, Dad, who's the most underrated player in the league right now? And I was like, that's a good question. I had to think about it. Now, here was the surprise a little bit. You ain't got to say nothing. My first thought, this isn't my final answer, but my first thought was, I think it might be De'Aaron Fox. Because I said, here's what I said about it. The way people talk about him, they talk about him like he didn't average 23 points a night. Unlike people were like, yo, you got to step your game up. You didn't have a good enough season. He averaged 23. Like the way people speak about him, it's like, yo, like, is he reaching his full potential? So I think he can do more. I think he can be better. Absolutely. He's leaving something to be fulfilled. But he ain't no damn scrub the way some of these people talk about. So that was my first thought. But he wasn't my answer, Drake. My official answer, and I want to know what you think about this, is I said Paul George. And especially, once again, when you think about the way people talk about Paul George, I mean, this guy's like 6'9", 6'10". Like, he's not Kevin Durant, but he's like maybe the closest thing we have to it. He's a three-point threat. He can score off the bounce. He can get to the cup. I mean, I said my final answer was Paul George. Who, in your opinion, is the most underrated player in the game?
Gosh, I feel like I again, in these different group chats I'm in, this question comes up, and now that I'm on the spot, I'm like, gosh dang, who did I used to say? Paul George is funny because like the two guys that you just mentioned, De'Aaron and PG, I feel like you can make the other argument where they're overrated because people expect too much, So like, but glass half empty, glass half full. I think you definitely can go either way on that argument. Funny enough, like I've always thought Kevin Huerter was a little underrated. That was where my mind initially went. I mean,
possible
Desmond Bain's gotten a little better. What's that?
Possible breakout year for Huerter out here in Sac?
I think so. Yeah, I think he can like have some ability to make some noise here and kind of establish himself. He was in kind of a logjam with Atlanta. I think you look at all the plethora of like wings and shooting guards that they had. I think his ability to kind of make a splash. I mean, I like the runway that he has here. Des Bain, I think, is like he's kind of put himself on the map more like within the last year, but I've always kind of thought he was a little underrated.
I asked James Ham this question, and his answer was Jokic. And like at first I was like, what are you talking about? He's a back-to-back MVP, two-time MVP. Like, what do you mean he's underrated? And when he broke it down, it did kind of make sense because it's like if you have somebody right now, who are the top 5 players in the game today? There'll be a good amount of people who don't say Jokic.
Totally.
You know what I mean? They'll be like, nah, he's not in there. And this guy, statistically, you talk about some of the seasons that he's just had these last 2 years, historic seasons, and he's a 2-time MVP. And I mean, not for me, but for other people, they would put Embiid ahead of him, or maybe I don't know, take your pick of whatever player still ahead of Jokic. And it's like, man, kind of does get disrespected in some respect as a 2-time MVP.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I mean, again, it goes back to like, how could you ever say that he's like a star is underrated? But I do think that you're right. The respect level that he never gets, I feel like, for whatever reason, you say top 5, and sometimes his name won't even come up. I think you can. I mean, Giannis seems to get a little disrespected too when it comes to like how good like. So yeah, I think where I look at that question, I'm like, and I've had conversations with people too about like, if I were to make a bet on a young player making like a James Harden like leap, if you were to like give this kid more freedom on a different team, like who would that be? And even before Jordan Poole had this breakout year, I would have said like a Jordan Poole, Tyler Herro. I could see making like a big leap if you were to get some like real freedom to have his own show. Darius Garland, I thought, again, before Sexton got hurt, I loved his like Kevin Porter Jr. I love like some of these guys that just have like special shift, special like talent to where I would love to see what it would look like if they're given like a little more, whether it's like structure or like freedom to be like the main guy. I think some of these guys are like really talented. So Kevin Porter might be another, like those are like kind of how I view underrated as guys that like could end up being stars as opposed to like underrated stars. I think that like obviously you brought up some good ones and Jokic is a good one, but your son's asking all the hard questions, man. You got to join you on the show.
I know, right? He probably think he could host it. He'd be like, watch out, Dad. I got this. Last question before I get you out of here, Drake, man. I appreciate, how generous you've been with your time. Just a real quick one. Kevin Durant, Donovan Mitchell, are they on the Nets and Jazz respectively when the season starts?
I think Kevin Durant is on the Nets. I would, if I had to choose between one of the two, I could see maybe Donovan getting moved sooner. But who knows? I mean, both their asking prices are so high. Like, I think if I had to bet on it, I would say that they start the year. I think teams' asking prices are always crazy in the summertime, and there's no real rush to trade them until February. So if I had to bet, like, I bet they are on the roster opening day, and whether they're playing or sitting, like, I'm not entirely sure. But if I had to bet, I bet they both are on their rosters opening night. What about you?
I think KD stays. I feel like Donovan's going to the Knicks in the next month.
Yeah,
I think the Knicks will be pressed to make that deal. The Knicks aren't going to want to wait until February.
Yeah,
they want to start the season with a bang, and I think they'll up the heat on making that deal. Wow.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Wow.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Drake, man, I appreciate you. Oh, before I go, you already know what it is. I know people in high places. If the young Stojakovic wants to make a decision on D'Lo and KC, hey, you already know it's nothing. Just tell him to come on here with the 3 hat. He can do it right here on D'Lo and KC.
Perfect. With an NIL deal.
There we go, man. Drake, man, thank you so much for hopping on, man. Came in a crunch too, man. I appreciate you, big dog.
No, anytime, man. Always fun, KC.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, bro.
Appreciate my main man, Drake, you coming in here and talking some hoop with me, talking some Kings basketball with me. He has some encouraging things to say if you're a Kings fan, I think, man. Just, talking about the prospects of De'Aaron Fox with a guy like Malik Monk, both of those guys helping each other out. Kevin Huerter, I agree with him. I think Kevin Huerter has a lot in the tank that he wasn't able to show in Atlanta, and I think he's going to show it here with the Kings, man. So I'm looking forward to the Kings. Like I said, they did the unthinkable. They got me ready for this season. I didn't think they could do it. Because I was like, man, last year they stunk, man. Don't nobody want to get hyped for the Kings, but I think they did it, man. I think they did it. I'm ready for the season to start, and I'm ready to see what this team can do on the court. We're seeing all this stuff in paper and seeing all this stuff with the projections and stuff. I want to see these guys on the court, man. So big ups to everybody, man, who tapped in today. Appreciate you guys on KC and Friends, aka D'Lo and KC today. Shout out to the Chatty House. Hopefully, maybe James is back tomorrow. If not, I'll be here, and we'll rock it again, man. Trista Crick will be on tomorrow. Kyle Madsen will be on tomorrow, and I'm reaching for one other special guest, man. So we're trying to make all that happen. I appreciate you guys getting in here. See y'all tomorrow, man. Y'all be good. Peace. Yes, sir. Yeah. Oh, man. Drink was good. Absolutely. Yes, sir. Hold on, y'all. I'm going to get to y'all in just a second. Oh, man. Appreciate you securing the Bagley. I guess I should probably be quiet. I'm sorry. I get yelled at when I talk too loud because somebody is working on the other side too. So she's in a different room. We're just separated by a door, though. It's not even like the hallway or nothing like that. Like, she's on the other side of this door. She'd be like, be quiet. And I'll be like, okay. Nah, man. Hey, man, it's what we do around here. It's what we do. We a 3-4 man group around here, and we just grind it. We grind it out. We could have like thrown on ESPN radio, but we're like, no, we ain't doing that. One of us always gonna be here. Yeah. No, sir. No, sir. So I did talk for 4 hours, so I'm about to get up out of here, guys. I think there's WNBA action tonight, exhibition football. I bet you, unfortunately, exhibition football gets higher ratings than WNBA playoffs. And the football game is trash. It's like Giants and Seahawks, I think. Like, nobody want to see that. Ugh. Seahawks Bears? That's even worse. Although somebody might want to see Justin Fields. I don't know if Justin Fields is even playing, though. So, yeah. Whatever. So, yeah, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to be here tomorrow. I appreciate all you guys, man, in the chatty house. Y'all made it quick and fun for me as well, man. So thank you guys. And, yeah, man, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Be here, same time, same station. That'll be good.